just putting a Dallas Semi temperature sensor on the hot water lines that go to each bathroom. But I can't get to some of them easily, unfortunately. I mean, I guess I could just put it on the stalk to the water heater. That way I know if something is using the hot water. But that may be the clothes washer or the dishwasher. Actually, no, the dishwasher heats its own water. That's right. That's why they're so energy efficient. Greeting friends of awaiting the moment the Furby shows a lifelike heat signature. I should put the heat gun on it before a stream one day. It'll look like that picture of Willow that Chester Willard made into an emote. All right, let's see. So we're live on YouTube. We are live on Twitch. YouTube, I need to go to YouTube and pop out the chat. That's right. YouTube, Oh Bother VOD. There we go. There's that. And then we go to the live one. And then we pop this thing out. I can call myself an engineer, right? Yeah, in America, we don't, the professional engineer exam does not prerequisite you calling yourself an engineer. Instead, if you receive a paycheck from a job titled engineer, you can call yourself an engineer. So, or you could just do that anyway. I mean, all kinds of people call themselves engineers now. They've sort of put that on so many different titles now. I'm a human resources engineer, shit like that. But I am an electrical engineer. I received a paycheck as an electrical engineer, historically. All right, what else? What else am I forgetting? I think I've got everything. Yeah, YouTube chat's popped out. So yeah, we're good. We're good. How's everybody doing? We are going to work on this thing that's sitting in front of me, this lamp. I love lamp, and this mirror's nightmare fuel. What's unsettling about this mirror? What's troubling you about this mirror? I don't see anything wrong with it. Prompt engineer. Oh God, that's our modern one, isn't it? Oh, it's awful. It's terrible. I hate it already. Nothing in particular. Carry on. Please resume what you were doing before. I'm going to go throw up. I don't know how successful we're going to be with this mirror because it's one of these products that's designed to go together and not come apart. It is an expensive mirror, is what I'm hearing from the source, and it has push button controls. I thought no, it was the previous one that had touch controls. Previous one had touch controls. This one has push button controls. So there's a little bit of troubleshooting that we can do. This is a touch button though. This power button is a touch button. So it's got touch and button. So it's a little bit obnoxious, but we bought a new power supply for it and it still doesn't work. So it's not the power supply. We'll just have to see. What's up, Madam? I got YouTube chat working just in time. And if we end up fixing this thing in 5 minutes, that's it. It's a, you know, what is it? Mortal Run stream. What do you call it again? Permadeath. That's what it is. Lamp life permadeath. If the lamp lives, I die. Stream dies, rather. Oh, I should have put that in the title. I'll put it in the Twitch title. I'm going to append the Twitch title. Lamp permadeath stream. Done. Okay. Yeah, stream ends if the lamp works. This could be a 5-minute stream. I hope it's not. I'm going to take a little bit of my time here. But getting into this thing is nigh on impossible. We've tried to fix one of these before, and I think we got down to the point of it just being a bad lamp. And then I bought another LED lamp, and that one went into the one that is currently being used, but then this one broke. Fun times, good times. I don't know what happened to the replacement lamp. I think it might have gotten thrown out. Not the replacement, I had 2 lamps. I bought 2 of these LED replacements that should work perfectly, but now it's gone. And I think I threw it out. I think I was in a phase of, you know what? I don't need all this stuff around all the time. And so I threw out that because I thought I'd never need it again. And it turns out we have 2 of these types of lamps. The other one of these lamps is actually mounted to the wall, but I fixed that one. 2-week lampathon. Could you imagine if I streamed solid for like, I can't do 24 hours. I'm a wreck. Like if I was playing a game, I could maybe do 24 hours these days, but man, I'm not young, so staying up to the odd hours of the night is actually pretty bad for me, and it always has been actually. When that sun starts coming up again, my mental acuity is just gone. I am not snappy. I am not intelligent. I am just simply a zombie. It's bad. Engineering, you have to study for some pretty difficult tests without having a whole lot of time to do so. And that's mostly because of my own time management. But yeah, so you end up pulling some late night oil every now and then. The stream doesn't end until it's fixed approach. I am not in a position where I can do that. I have to walk the dog. I have to cook dinner for the family and all that stuff. That's unfortunately my domestic responsibilities do not end with stream. So things rely on oh bother to stay alive, which is scary. But I would rather not throw a wrench in that. Now, all things considered, if we did have to go 24 hours, I could probably pull it off with a little bit of advanced warning. But I don't want to do that. Not today. Not this Friday. What do you mean you guys can see me? What's chat? Chat, what do you mean you can see me? You can't. No, I don't have the face cam on. You can't. The face cam is off. Yeah, I don't. What? It's getting to the point where I'm starting to have to do the hair flick, which means it's probably time for a haircut. It's probably time for a haircut. It has been time for a haircut for months. It's just is it the point where my executive dysfunction is going to allow me to actually schedule a haircut and have that responsibility on my back? I don't know. I don't understand people that can schedule a haircut as like one of the events of their day. I'm thinking like September or on Monday, I've got a doctor's appointment. So that whole day is just completely used up. Maybe I could schedule the haircut that day, or maybe I could just call them on my way back and be like, hey, you got any openings? But then I get the person who nobody schedules with, they cut hair weird. And then I end up getting a weird haircut and I don't like my hair. That's what happened last time. Yeah, the Furby is something that I would like to work on soon. It's just I have too many balls in the air right now. I really need to do burn the subs more, and I need to work on Julian's mixer. Julian contacted me. He's been a little bit aloof this summer, but he contacted me and it's like, yeah, we need to do music stuff. And he's told me prioritize the modular synthesizer over the mixer. And so that's what I've been doing. We got the MIDI thing, we got the MIDI thing calibrated. So at least now I'll be able to calibrate other modules without running into that problem we ran into last time we tried to calibrate. So at least one stream next week, we will be doing modular synthesizer calibration. Now that I've got some signals that I can put into the synthesizer that I understand, I can now measure and quantify the things coming out of the new modules and, obviously listen to what they sound like. But before I even hear anything out of my synthesizer, I need to make sure that all my soldering is okay. That's taking kind of a scientific approach. And at some point, it's possible that I will be sent a synthesizer. I don't think it's a kit. I think it might just be a built thing. And they want an engineer to do a review of it, which is kind of fascinating. Why they want this engineer to do a review of it, I don't know. They'll eventually realize that mistakes were made. But I think we can take a nice little look at something like that, put it on the scope, listen to it and all that. And now that I have the equipment working and calibrated, I can use it. And again, this is like, the reason I'm going over this so much is because, Julian, I was talking to Julian about this and how much I'm stressing over, oh, wait a sec, here, we do still have it. Here's the replacement lamp that I bought for another lamp that looks like this. Oh, perfect. So we do actually have that. Anyway, so like why calibration. Some of the philosophy of synthesizers in general, they'll say things like, the machine has a life of its own. It's its own entity. It's a thing among itself. So you don't, hippy dippy shit. Like you don't really need to calibrate modular synthesizer modules. What's up, BitLink game? Yeah, we're eventually going to animate this thing. We will give it life. But yeah, so like this is, you know, the machine has a life of its own, and so you shouldn't calibrate things. Well, listen, I'm coming here from the standpoint of somebody who's built all of this stuff, and I don't know if I built it properly. So I need to know that the signals coming out of this thing are what I'm supposed to get. From there, it can go out of tune all the hell it wants. I just want to make sure that the capabilities of the machine are properly being expressed, because I had, what do you call it, mutable instruments, and immutable instruments marbles, marbleps. And the marbles wasn't all together soldered correctly. So there were some errors with the soldering that were preventing it from functioning normally. And it was something that even like Julian noticed. He's like, hey, this doesn't really work on this thing. I'm like, oh yeah, I had a problem with mine too. There's a little bit of bad soldering here. And I was able to fix it. But yeah, that's just, I should put googly eyes here. Hold on a sec. I gotta get the adhesive off of these. But yeah, the whole thing about like not tuning your synthesizer, it's like, well, I have to have a bit more of a scientific approach, because if I don't, I won't know that it's not functioning properly. These are gonna pull hairs. I got myself sick. What'd you do? You don't have to tell me. That was, so I had quite a time of that. The health confidentiality in an office full of gossipy engineers is insane. Hold on, I gotta go to in an office full of engineers, they cannot keep their goddamn mouth shut about stuff. And so when I accidentally shot myself in the leg, I didn't really want that rumor going around. Because, yeah, that actually was a thing that happened. And so, oops, wrong one. Even, like, my boss was like, well, you know how engineers are. They like to gossip. You should probably just tell me what happened. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to tell you what happened. Like, there's no way in hell. Like, Batman couldn't get that out of me. So I told him, you know, I slipped in the garage and put a screwdriver through my leg, which is, you know, more embarrassing than what actually happened, but I left my fan on and dried out too much and got myself a sinus infection. Oh my God. I've only historically ever gotten one sinus infection, and it was traumatizing enough. I was like, how is this stuff coming out of my body? It was crazy. Oh yeah, it's just, you don't have to, and your leg. So the leg thing, it almost hit my kneecap, but it missed everything miraculously. It was me sitting at my desk, and I dropped the gun and tried to catch it. Don't catch a falling gun, especially one that has a hair trigger. It was pretty bad. Very embarrassing, and I deserve to be embarrassed about it. Yeah, but an early SIG, so it didn't have the anti, you know, SIGs have gotten in trouble in like the past 5 years for, first of all, being awarded as a service weapon, so they're being used a lot, but they also don't have an incredible amount of drop safety. They didn't put a certain kind of safety in the pistols, and so they're notorious for negligent discharges by dropping on the ground. It's a thing that manufacturers typically test for, but they didn't in this case. Or they did, and they decided the numbers were the numbers, and they would just go ahead with it, I guess. But no, the one I had is a P2209, and yeah, it was the rack was slid, and then it fell out of my hands, and I went to catch it, and my middle finger hit the trigger. Fun times. I got to drive to the hospital with a perforated knee. I'm totally fine now. I'll probably feel it when I'm older, but this is many, many years ago. They left the soul in the machine, and this, what, did the soul just wanted to perforate some dudes, I guess? What do you guys mean? No, my face cam is off. What are you talking about? What do you mean? Face cam has been disabled for this stream. I'm I'm not gonna like reveal my face to you guys, especially. What? What do you mean you can? What do you mean you can see me? No, I'm not on camera. The heat cam is showing the googly eyes. Oh, and it looks a little demonic, yeah. Because the thin plastic will let the heat through. Like thin plastic will let heat through, but these don't. So you can't really see what's going on. Yeah, my my glasses look like sunglasses when I do that. Here, I'm gonna take a sip of water. Take a sip of water. This has to be the stupidest bit that I've ever done, and I love it. I love everything about it. It's by far the dumbest thing. I'm just happy that people don't know how hairy I am. Because I don't know if they're ready for it. Why does the other Furby not have a nose? I don't have a face cam on, okay? I'm not doing face cam. Give yourself a pimp walk. I walk perfectly fine now. I do need to get back to exercise and losing weight and stuff like that. I'll get there. We'll get there. What? What do you mean? Face cam's not on right now. How do you see me? What's going on? This is like an emote factory. I could just keep doing completely cursed things in this mode. It's kind of amazing. Maybe I won't fix the mirror and we just keep this and I become my own co-host. As you can see here, this circuit connects to, it's just completely, I love how cursed this is. And if you want to know what I actually look like while I'm doing this, this is all I'm doing. I'm just talking with googly eyes on my chin. It's just, the mirror distortion is so good. It just looks so awful. What the heck? Why does this song have rap in it? It's probably part of the original song that they're remixing. Just because I'm made entirely of hair, I guess it's like a Sasquatch furry. Maybe I could go to conventions like this. I'd blend right in. Hey, it's me. Oh, bother. I'm sure you guys were wondering what I look like, but I'm not turning on face cam. We've got to fix this mirror. Oh no. It's me. Actually, you got to point from above. You're gonna be like, where is this? It's way down on my chin. It's like way over here. I can't do it. I can't get my hand in the shot. It's impossible. I'm an analog VTuber. There was a streamer that did a really cool thing. They actually put a bunch of video monitors, like old school video monitors that you can, I think you can get them for cheap. Probably not. There's nothing in production is cheap. But they put a stack of old school video monitors, and then they had like a turntable in front of it where they could put the model that they were working on. So they were like a model builder, and then they had all of their views in this scene. But it was cool because it looked like just like a fake scene that like a streamer would put together in order to show the different like webcams, right? The different webcam views. But it was actually a physical prop. So they were able to talk about stuff and point at stuff and then go right to the model that was sitting in that scene. It was very cool, very well done. There's been some cool stuff like that in production and Twitch that it's very cool stuff. Very cool. When I back up a little too much, it reveals the how the sauce is made. You got to keep it weird and go directly up to the camera like this. Hey, so I heard you guys were watching Oh Bother. Do you guys think that's something normal people would do? I kind of want to. I want to be normal. Normal. This is so stupid. We have face cam at home. Ah. Do you think it's okay? Has this bit run its course? I think it runs its course pretty quickly. It's fun, but people are tired of looking at my stupid chin, so maybe it may be time to end the bit. Not yet. Everybody loves a cute mascot. This isn't. I don't know if I would call this cute necessarily. Do it the entire stream. There is no possible reality that exists where I could maintain, because right now, where is that? Hold on. Right now, in order to do this, I have to be in this position exactly. And if I move just a little bit forward or just a little bit backwards, it ruins the entire bit. So this is, I respect puppeteers for the jobs that they do. Wah. I think the mix has changed. Hold on, let me see what's going on over here. Get to the mouse. Yeah, 8-Ball Breakfast of Champions, which is fine. It's just there's more singing. Just leave the googly eyes on stream. I could take recordings of this face and turn it into a VTuber. Or a PNG tuber. So it's just... There, that's all I need in order to create a VTuber. I could use that. That's over here, hold on. What's up, chat? It's your boy. It has to be the other hand. This looks a little weird. What's up? What's up? What's up? How y'all doing today? It's me, Oh Bother. I'm just, doing my thing here. No, okay, I'm sucking my fingers in a different stream. The most accursed VTuber model in existence. Okay, every perception of direction is completely reversed, and it's hard to it's just hard to reconcile where things are coming from, Oh, my eye, I poked my eye. Ouch. That was, sorry, I had an itch. I had an itch in my face, These kinds of things happen. And then you go and look at me doing all the acting, and it's like, it doesn't look, it's, what is this guy doing? This guy's a weirdo. He's a weirdo. Get out of here while you still can. Ridiculous. Playing a character is fun, though. This is kind of fun. I gotta say, this is too much. This is too much. We're done with the bit. We're done with that bit. It's the terrible face in the mirror bit that I think I like more. Of course, I'm gonna forget that I have googly eyes in my beard, and I was once sent Christmas ornaments that were specifically to mount in one's beard. Hey guys, it's me. All you gotta do is put googly eyes on something and it gives it new life. For instance, the microscope now has a personality. Oh, and I'm still in the mirror. There's an entire subreddit that is dedicated to people taking pictures of mirrors and how ridiculous they look in the mirror because they don't know how to take a picture of a mirror without reflecting yourself. So there's a whole subreddit dedicated to that. And so I thought I'd cash in on a little bit of that with the with the what do you call it? Thumbnail and title and whatnot, and the beginning visuals of this stream. I wonder if this is on the thumbnail we made. Hold on a minute. Oh, good. It's I try to obscure it just enough so that people don't see that it says "fuck around and find out." Yeah, I tried to make it the most ridiculous I possibly could. My guardian angle. Breathe with me. Incredibike, thank you for subbing. Breathe with me. Psychosomatic Attic Insane. I don't think I have the right lyrics for that. I just hear Psychosomatic Attic Insane, and that's probably not what the... Let's look up Breathe With Me lyrics. Oh, this is a mash of many things. It sounds like girl talk. I hate girl talk. Girl talk from, like, what, 10 years ago? Just mashed up a bunch of music, and it didn't have to really, like, go. I think those are the lyrics. Looking up lyrics on the internet is a terrible idea because all of these sites are trying to get money from just listing text. And you can see here, I'm getting completely buried in ads. How'd you end up on the... This does not sound like... The Prodigy. Oh, they now just list them in Google. Psychosomatic Addict Insane. Well, I can't pronounce that T. Yeah, it's Addict Insane. Okay. Yeah, Psychosomatic Addict Insane. No, Psychosomatic Addict Insane. You kind of skip the T. Skip the T, otherwise the lyrics are not coming out of your mouth properly. Come play my game, I'll test ya. That song blowing up was maybe the worst thing that could happen to electronic music in a sense of my classmates being fans of it. No, it's Smack My Bitch Up was probably the worst one. Breathe was fine. Breathe was fine. Everybody loved to come breathe with me. It's like, all right, you know, hey, people are getting into the music that I like. That's totally fine. But then Smack My Bitch Up was also on that album and became incredibly popular, maybe because everybody was just so fucking misogynistic back in the early 2000s that it took off. And really the lyric was, change my pitch up, smack my bitch up, from, what was it, Kool Keith? And then that became like a primary call out to the type of music that I like to listen to, which was not quite like The Prodigy. It was close, but it was obnoxious that that became like the lyric. And it categorized the Mrs. Whoever, this is Jesse, he listens to music that says smack bitches. Like, great. I'm so happy. Anyway, a kit like this is very, very cheap. You should get one. Lots and lots of googly eyes. Googly eyes for every occasion. I always keep it a little bit out of the way. Of course, I was reluctantly sent that. Three Mares sent me that, along with two giant googly eyes. And one of the giant googly eyes, like, walked. I don't know where it went. I don't know where it is. It might be behind the tool bin. Those were supposed to go on the mill over there, but I have not had them. And for a little while, they were the eyes of the tool bin, but they were big suckers. They're the ones that Gonad put on his mini refrigerator. So when he walks into wherever he has that fridge, he scares himself. Now, YouTube, I know this is weird, but this is the intro to the stream, and maybe I should do the intro only on Twitch, because I'm playing music in the background and everything. Maybe when I go live, when stream starts, I'll hit start on YouTube. That might be something that I need to do, because I know in terms of like them being cromulent YouTube videos, they are streams. They don't really seem like a YouTube video. And then you get this giant intro with no music, where it's just me talking and occasionally like belching out a lyric for something that nobody understands. So It might be better if I just skip these for YouTube. I don't know. I'm debating it. I'll debate it a little longer. I'm the master of debating. Dopest, flyest, OG, pimp, hustler, gangster, player, hardcore, motherfucker, living today. What? Who are you talking about? Where are they? Okay. Yeah, let's get the music out of here. This is like a popular list of songs from the early O's. Wait, this one's like, sorry, I'm pausing because this music is familiar to me. No, that's Underworld. Shouting lager, 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 lager. Ever when you on your way, who you something boy. Dun 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 dun. The IR cam looks cool as hell. Yeah, so for a little while, like especially on my GitHub, the PFP on GitHub is a thermal image of me wearing glasses, but the glasses actually look like they are cool sunglasses that I'm wearing. Why is everybody so disturbed? Welcome to my stream. Welcome, everybody, to my stream. Okay. Anyway, we did that bit for a little while with googly eyes. I am going to get the music out of here. Shouting lager, 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 lager. Pause. Hi. Hello. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my stream. As an electrical engineer, let's get this thing out of here. And I say that, it always feels weird when I call myself that, because imposter syndrome. As an American, we don't have to take like a certification exam to call ourselves engineer, although it would be nice if it was like regulated like PhDs are, because the other countries do treat it that way. You need to like you need to do a capstone project in order to become an engineer. I've done a capstone project and I did really well on it. We won awards for it. So I guess I can call myself an engineer. I am an electrical engineer. I have received paychecks for doing electrical engineering jobs. And I guess that's what it takes to call yourself an engineer in the States. Fine. I'm not a professional engineer. I don't have a PE certification on I've gone to physical education, but I haven't taken a professional engineering exam. That's something that you would do if you're going to do like architectural or building systems kinds of like engineers and stuff. So you can sign off on things and know they're reliable, and then wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat because you don't know if you carried the one and something's like a building's going to explode. But anyway, so I guess I can call myself an engineer. So the prestige of being a professional engineer falls upon my shoulders in such a sense that my mother comes to me and says, hey, my makeup mirror doesn't work. Can you fix it? You're a nerd. So here we are. I'm holding a makeup mirror that does not work, and I am supposedly supposed to fix this thing by doing what I learned in college, which is matrix algebra, which is linear algebra in order to model physical systems and motors. I don't know how that's going to fix this mirror. Maybe we can build a robot that fixes the mirror? I don't know. But I mean, I'd be remiss not to do stuff like this, because when we take something apart, we get to learn how somebody designed it. Zen and the art of the motorcycle. Zen and the art of motorcycle repair. Somebody built this. A human being built this, although that's going to be less and less of the case as time goes forward, because we've got more and more AI. So a plagiarism machine built this is going to be the new saying. But anyway, a human built this so it can be unbuilt. We can get in there and figure out how it works. In addition to that, we can also see what kind of care went into building it, or what kind of philosophy went into building this thing. And, Fridays, we take it easy and we take stuff apart and we figure out how they go together and sort of what went into it. And we can sit here and laugh at the things that they do that are not good. That's sort of what we used to do. And then I kind of ran out of stuff to take apart. Today, it's going to be makeup mirror permadeath. Permadeath is a term on Twitch, not just Twitch, it's all over the place. But anyway, the stream goes on as long as this lamp is broken. Now, I'm not going to go overtime on this thing, and if we run into any problems, we're going to consider the lamp dead, and then the stream dies as well. So there's two kind of fail scenarios that are on the fringes here. One is that I fix the lamp very quickly. The other one is that I am unable to fix the lamp entirely, and I run out of stuff to say about it, in which both scenarios stream ends. So this might be a 10-minute stream. Those of you who are watching the VOD can simply just mouse over the bar at the bottom and see what happened. I don't personally know what happened. Lamp fix Nuzlocke. I die if the lamp... Look, the lamp's fixed. Ah! And then I just keel over. No, but so stream death occurs if the lamp gets fixed. And that, I think, will be fun on a Friday because we don't have to draw things out too long. We were having some fun with the magnification of the lamp ahead of stream. So those of you that have the intro, you can rewind stream a little bit and then make weird gifs of me talking upside down. This is Tranya. No, this is a makeup mirror. It has magnification on one side. It has your ugly fucking face on the other. Wait, that's my face. Did I just... Oh no, I just called myself stupid stuff. It is for doing your makeup. It is designed to give you nice, even light, the type of lighting that you would experience in whatever thing you're putting on makeup to go do, so that you can look up to your own standards, right? Great, wonderful, easy invention. It is just a mirror. It's just a mirror, right? Well, no, there are LEDs inside of it. There are different lighting modes so that you can have warmer and cooler lighting. And then there is a touch sensitive power button on it. This broke. Is it, you know, the worst thing is when somebody has me fix something and it turns out to be somebody's just using it slightly wrong. But I believe that my mother has had this mirror for quite some time and it was perfectly functional until recently. So what exists in the grand scheme of the engineering of this mirror? Well, we have a simple 5-volt power adapter that's applying 5 volts to a circuit. The circuit lights up some LEDs, and presumably this thing is limited from twisting too many times, or there is some type of a, like a slip ring, whatever you call it, either a brush system or just something to prevent this from twisting 10,000 times and killing the cable. Next observation, they use a big blob of hot glue to seal it tight. If they use hot glue, we can just use alcohol. Rubbing alcohol will release hot glue like it was never there. So when fixing something, when something falls on my desk in order to troubleshoot, the first thing you want to do, dibs on the PSU being dead. This is number 2. This is the second power supply. So there's a couple things that I know to look at and we can sort of get ahead of on this. One of them is, are the springs on the barrel connector doing their job, connecting power to the rest of this thing? Is there a proper power coming out of the power supply? Here's the thing. We're going to back up a little bit first, though. The very first thing you do when something lands on your bench is verify that it does the thing that they say it does. Dibs on broken barrel jack. My money is on a bad electrolytic. Well, hopefully we can get to the bottom of this because I have looked at this mirror before and I wasn't really able to get inside of it. But now that I'm doing it on stream, we looked at a version of this mirror and we weren't really able to get inside of it. So now that we have it on stream, it's kind of forcing my face into the puddle of piss and I have to get to the bottom of this. So we have to figure out what is wrong with this thing. There is a touch control on it. I don't know why. They did buttons and touch controls. So first things first, we plug it in. We risk our bacon on this thing blowing up. Office, what does this say on the front? Hold on, we gotta be daylight, office, and evening, and then smart dimmer. This is not a button, this is a touch control. So there's no light coming out of this when I touch it. What if I touch ground on my thing here? Nothing. Okay. So we can take a look. It is dead. This is you know, this feels like metal. These feel like plastic. This is metal. So I think this base is, but it is, you know, it looks like brushed stainless, but I want to say it's probably plastic. There's definite weight to the base. Though, geez. Okay, sorry, I'm burping. I ate leftover fajita stuff. We did steak fajitas, and I threw a bunch of spices in there and some cheese, and yeah. So I'm gonna be burping up spicy. It was literally just the fajita mix. It wasn't anything else. So That's the thing. There might be a giant slug of metal in the base, and maybe this is just plastic, and I'm feeling it wrong. It does look like brushed, but second thing to look at. Now we can't. Okay, so I can't really get into this barrel jack. This is a small one. If this were larger, I could maybe stick a probe in here and try to like bend the spring back over. So we'll have to take a look at this one. It's kind of a mystery jack. Hopefully it's not all like glued in. That would be very annoying. Okay, so we confirmed that this thing isn't turning on. Let's take a look and see whether or not we get 5 volts out of the barrel here. Out of the barrel. Last night, or rather yesterday, I was sitting here with Willow, and they were doing work on the roof next door. And those guys are incredible. They did an entire roof of one of these houses in one day. So there was debris falling, there was hammer noises all over the place, and then at one point, in the middle of the day, I heard a snap, a loud snap. And a loud snap in a place like this is a really, really bad thing. It is really, really bad. Oh, that's ohms. Because it sounded like a capacitor exploding. And I didn't get any burning smell afterwards. So I am, to this very day, I am nervous about a potentially broken capacitor somewhere around here that's going to cause havoc. But I think what it might have been is some of the tarps they were using outside hit the window and made a loud, ticking noise. We're getting 6.1 something volts. This thing says it's a 5-volt power supply, so I guess that works. I don't think that could have broken the electronics inside. Now, touch stuff relies on capacitance. I don't really know how we can test any sort of functionality of touch stuff. Like if I do touch sense circuit, and look for like a schematic of a touch sensor. So they're using a transistor in this case, and you're pressing on this, I guess, induces enough volts to give that circuit, what it's looking for in order to flip the transistor. You have a very, very sensitive transistor, and then you have a pad that you touch, and that'll cause like AC or whatever kind of interference on the line to change. That's one method of doing it, and I guess it seems to be how a lot of these sort of touch things work. I don't know how an on-off would work. You might need a little bit more circuitry. What? The first capacitive touch sense lamp from the 40s used a vacuum tube oscillator. Oh, I bet that would wreak havoc on your microphone. Yeah, and then with microcontrollers, you can just have a very sensitive input. Okay. I don't know much about touch sensing. I really don't. Some microcontrollers have touch sense built in, and you can buy PCBs that have the little touch sensitive things on it. So if you had something that had like a front pane of glass, you could give it like a touch on off with one of those things. Knowing cheap value electronics is probably also live at mains. I feel this cool buzz when I turn on my lamp. All right, so let's put this thing down on the bench and see if we can get inside of it. We can't. There's a giant foam pad that I'm staring down, and the foam pad has plastic around the edge. So the question is, and I'll just palpate the region here. I'm just going to palpate the region and see. Yeah, oh, there's a big divot right there. There's one big divot there. Another big divot here. So there are big screw holes in this thing, or they're just air holes. There's another one right here. So the question is, are these openings screw holes, or are they just openings? Are they just perforations in the plastic for other products? And is this just snapped in, or is this screwed in? So I guess the best thing that I could do to evaluate that is to cut the foam. And in the case of wanting to do things neatly and cleanly, I think I have a good excuse to use my hole punches. My hole punches. Got a whole big kit of hole punches. Might as well utilize them. Don't pay any attention to the lock breaking tool, the lock picking tool. All right, so we got one right there. And so I'm just going to do this, twist a little bit. See if I can't peel up just that circle. It is a screw hole. Okay, cool. So we will do the same to all the other ones. You don't need all that foam there. So when you guys see me like looking at a an enclosure for something and I start pushing in on the stickers, this is the reason why I do that. Because they love, on products, they love to hide the screws. And when they hide the screws, they'll often do it under like a label. So it's a good spot to like, they're so uneven, it's so weird. Usually you see symmetrical ones. Lockpicking lawyer. Before lockpicking lawyer existed, I went around with that thing in my bag. Nowadays, you're liable to get deported for having something like that in your bag, but I used to go around the city with that thing. Never used it. That and the thing that gets you into posters. The whatever they are, those poster things have all have a very simple key to them. But I never went into one. I never had the opportunity. Removing the foam on this would be an absolute nightmare. Like if I were to peel up this entire thing of foam, no way. It's a clever way to cut out the foam by pressing it into the hole. Well, you know, it's just, I just wanted clean entry. So the foam would still, okay. Can we stop hiccuping in the middle of sentences? So that this thing doesn't run away when you push it on the table, right? So we're still preserving all the foam under there. And now this thing still sits on the table like an expensive luxury mirror. Okay, so big screwdriver, I guess. Lockpicking was my lockdown hobby. I wish I had more test locks to play with, because I still have to get into that payphone. The payphone that I bought for like all that money, that was a couple $100 spent on a payphone. Why would you do that? For an audio bit, so I could pick up the payphone and yell into it and then slam it down. But I haven't gotten there yet because I haven't been able to wire into the thing and spiders keep coming out of it. The lock on the payphone utilizes 3 dimensions in order to lock. Each barrel, because you know your traditional lock, it's a bunch of barrels that have different sized pins, and when the pins line up, the whole thing is able to rotate, right? So the pins in the barrels act like a lock. They keep the thing from spinning until you put a key in that has those heights on it that'll put the 2 pins on the seam of the thing that twists in order to unlock the whole system, right? That's the verbal explanation of how a lock works. That could have been solved by me Googling an image in half a second and people would have known what I was talking about. But anyway, that's not enough for some folks. So for some folks, they need to make it even more secure. And so what you do is you have these pins that have a slanted surface so that when you cut your height, your little pushers, the pushers can have forward, left, or right positions. And so those barrels twist into position and allow you to do the unlocking. That's satanic, but it's very effective. And so payphone locks use that system. So I have to not only be able to feel when the barrel's in the right position while putting it under a little bit of tension, but I also have to feel for what the twist angle of that pin is and try the combinations of 3 pins. It's only 3 pins, but that opens up many, many possibilities. So just going in and using like a bounce key that'll just move everything until it lines up won't work. It is insidious. Actually, we might need this in a second. Let's get the screws out of this. I think I can get away with this screwdriver. I think I can use on such large screws. This thing sometimes isn't enough. Oh no, that's fine. It was very easy actually. But yeah, I've tried to get into that payphone, and supposedly when you do learn how to get the feel for those, they're pretty easy. They're not all that secure, but I certainly couldn't walk up to any old payphone and lockpick it with that type of lock. Not right now. I did do a lot of practice on it, and I just didn't get there. Nothing's better than the feeling of a screwdriver that works for the first time. Well, with devices, you get some pretty heavy torques at first. This I could probably use a slightly, yeah, see, I could use a slightly, slightly larger handle on. And that's what this hex key, sorry, whatever it is, bolt head hex thing is for. You can get a wrench on this and put more torque into it. Although at that point, you're risking damaging your screwdriver. This one is coming out dirty. This one is not the clean one the others were. Whoa, that felt terrible. I almost stripped it. You really, the direction on doing Phillips head screws and many other screws, you use the largest one that'll fit. The bigger the screwdriver, the more it's going to spread all of the torque out amongst all the features of the screw so that it does not strip out a little cone. I saw what was it, a video, and I forget where it was exactly, but when they were putting something back together, they used an impact, and it was the brake rotor screw is notorious for being absolutely fucky to get off. The brake rotor screw. If you have brake rotors, your rotor brakes. Most everybody does at this point. Drums are very rare, except for maybe like a parking brake. Drum brakes are spring death puzzles. They're very annoying to work with, but disc brakes. The disc brakes, depending on the design, will typically hold the disc to the hub with one screw, because it's not really, you have like your wheel bolts that are on the hub, and then when you put the wheel on there, it's going to smush this whole thing together, right? They don't need to have their own independent fasteners holding them on. For convenience, and so that your brake rotor does not become horribly misaligned, there is one screw that'll typically hold that entire rotor up against the hub. So from hub to rotor, there's one screw, and that one screw gets disgusting because it stays on the road and it stays exposed to stuff, and dust gets in there and all kinds of terrible, awful shit. And it's a brake rotor, so it heats and cools a lot. And so notoriously, you have to get something called an impact screwdriver, which is a screwdriver that you hammer on the backside, and hammering keeps it pushed in so that it doesn't break all the threads as soon as you try to get it out. If it's pushing forward, it can tend to loosen things and get rid of a lot of the nastiness and sort of just help that screw come out. It's the reason you get these things is because that brake rotor screw is notorious for blowing the hell up, and its threads get completely smooth, and then you have to drill it out very carefully. And so I saw a GIF of somebody using an impact screwdriver with a Phillips head on it to put that screw into a brake rotor and then just destroy the screw. They just kept going. And the title, I think, of the post is, "I like to leave little surprises for the next mechanic to work on." Oh God, it was terrible. Anyway, let's take a look at the circuit. Oh my God. They insisted on using cheap switches, huh? We've got a driver that's shrink wrapped. -F. Oh my God, it's like my grade school experience. We have wires that are going from the power supply. We have wires that are going to the switches. The switches are fairly simply wired up. It looks like we're just activating, we're switching ground. Wait, are they using different voltage levels on the switch? Wait a minute, how does that work? Oh, we're turning on the different LEDs? Huh. We are connecting one wire to, yeah, okay, so it's one wire to ground through resistors. So when we activate the different switches, what we're doing is we're telling the microcontroller what setting we're on, and we're doing that by flipping the voltage level of the white wire, the blue wire. No, the blue wire is the touch sensitive wire. The dark blue wire, the violet wire, the baby blue and the blue wire, okay? This wire right here. This is something that I've seen cars do. This is something cars do. My car do. For like the windshield wipers. When you go to the different levels of the windshield wipers, they didn't want to have 7 heavy wires going all the way back to the windshield wiper controller. Instead, they have it all in one wire, but they put resistors on the different levels so that as you're switching through, you get a different voltage level, and then the microcontroller senses that. Now you need an analog pin in order to do that. It looks like They have a diode, though. Huh. What are they doing with the diode? So it's not voltage levels. What? I mean, does it switch plus, minus, and then, but there's only one other wire going to this cluster. Oh, no, there's two. No, never mind. That goes up to the LEDs. Wait, what? That doesn't go to the controller at all? Hold on a second. I was talking lies. I was just seeing if you guys were sharp enough. I was just talking, you know, I was just saying stuff. It was just, I was lying. One wire goes up, and that controls 3 different modes. How do it do? How do it do? We've got common running to all of the back pins. Is it like, okay, 2 modes I could understand. 2 modes I can understand. 3 out of 3 switches where you have 2 wires going out to your thing. So in one sense, like if you had more control over it, which, you know, we don't. Well, hold on. This is a big chunk of metal, by the way. This is how they get the feel of their device. This is how they make it feel like it's expensive, is they glue a giant piece of metal or tape a huge piece of just pig metal to the thing in order to give it a little bit of weight. So let's put that over there. We don't need that. We don't need it to seem like it's expensive. We already know it's cheap. This is all double-sided tape. Ugh, 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 ugh. Ugh. So here we need to test 5 volts. Our positive wire, oh great. This is a positive voltage wire, but it is black in a system where we already have color-coded red and black. Well, it's not just the illusion of quality through weight in this case. This is the ability to not have this thing fucking fall over when you move this giant heavy mirror arm on the end. That's what that is. So we got 5 volts running to this thing and ground. We have 5 volts running all the way out to the lamp. We have this thing possibly limiting ground to the rest of the circuit. And then we have some kind of a switch scheme which figures out which one of 3 switches you are switching with this wire and a ground connection. So how do it do that? Because we've got our lamps coming back through here. So that's positive, and this would be switching negative. So I guess 3 levels. I don't know if there are any resistors up in here. There might be. We might just be switching it through resistive elements of some kind. Fascinating. Okay, well, before we get this piece of shrink wrap off of there, I think I have shrink wrap of that size. I would like to test to see whether or not 5 volts is getting into the barrel plug. And you can see it's just using some kind of Celastic in order to hold it in there. Could have a hole to screw it down to the desk. That's cope. That's cope right there. Oh, hey, Lawn Dog. The video close-ups are excellent. I don't know. They're a little bit disturbing. I don't know who that was. Somebody broke into the shop and did the whole intro. What's up, Mahalo? All right, so we need to see that we're getting 5 volts into the rest of the system. I wonder if it'll work now. Just that now that I've just taken this thing apart, if it'll suddenly like work. No. Okay, so we definitely have stuff on the circuit to check out. Let's see. 5 volts. 5 volts. Go to voltage mode. DC. Put the DC voltmeter right here for moral support. Move the camera so that you guys can see the DC voltmeter. Which this is looking a little ghostly. I wonder if my battery is going to run out soon. I think I put a lithium-ion 9-volt battery on this one. We use it so much. Okay, so ground here. And I can barely get in next to their shrink wrap. 5 volts here. Damn it. Okay, so we've got power running into the device. Do we see a lamp like this before? Good on you, Mahalo, for remembering, because I did mention it earlier. We had a wall-mounted version of a very similar lamp. My mother likes her makeup mirror to work in a particular way, and this one works in the way that she likes. So she has a desktop version and a wall-mounted version. This is the desktop version. This one hasn't worked for a little while. We bought a new power supply for it, and it still does not work. If I hit the power button, it's a touch button, doesn't work. So we need to see what the F is going on with these electronics. The next thing that I want to test is, I guess, whether or not our lamp is turning on. If it's trying to turn on the lamp, yeah, I fixed the swivel joints by the mirror. It's possible that this one broke by the wires getting all crunched up and not working. And since we got into the base pretty easily, we'll see if that's the case with this in a minute. We need to check on the lamp wires to see whether or not current is trying to go through said lamp. I can't really get to the contacts though. They're shrink wrapped here. I don't want to take apart the other parts of the lamp. If I do, I guess that'll facilitate replacing the bulb if that needs to be done. One thing that I could do is the cheaty trick of, well, actually no, both of our lamp contacts are here and up here. So I actually could multimeter to this thing and look for a voltage level. Now keep in mind, as I get through this, the YouTubers might not be too familiar with this. I am doing a permadeath stream. So if we figure out what happened to the lamp and I fix it, stream's over. That's it. We're done. So it could be a 10-minute stream. It could be a 2-hour stream. We'll see. You might check the switch. This is a touch switch that turns on and off the lamp. This is a touch lamp. There is no physical switch. These three down here, these are relatively unreliable switches. I hate them, but it's a fix or an autopsy. Yeah, it's going to be one or the other. There's no in between. Okay, so white wire here. This wire here. Ruh-roh. We saw and voltage there. -2. It's actually fluctuating quite a bit. -5 volts DC going through this thing. Oh man, it's the lamp. It's the lamp. It's the lamp. It's the lamp. This thing works. Watch, if I hit this again here and I test here to here. Nothing. And then I hit it again. Doot. Here to here. Oh, it's still not on. -5. And then doot. And test it again. Yeah, nothing. Yep. Okay, so it's working. Dat deets! It's the lamp. Wait, what? What do you mean? There's no lamps here. What up, Dat deets? Thank you. Thank you for the incredibly large amount of months. 75. Holy crap. This stream might end soon. We know that there is 5 volts getting to the thing when it turns on and off, so this is not broken. We could take a quick look at the circuit, but again, I would rather let sleeping dogs lie for this thing. So we're going to put this all back together. We're going to put the base of this thing back together and take a look at the upper parts of the lamp and see whether or not power gets all the way to those. This could still be the wire that goes through that thing being all messed up. It could still be that. Upgrade it to RGB. I have this lamp to go in. I don't know if this lamp will work with the light levels that this thing wants to put out. I do not know. So I may have to order a lamp for it. But it seems that this thing can just go back together now. Our Friday might come to a close very soon. We don't have a lot to do with this thing now. I don't want to mess with anything else. I'm not going to figure out how that circuit works. I don't care. Oh my god, absolutely nuclear burps coming out. I really should let fajitas stay in the fridge. I should not let my fajita mix... I should let my fajita mix go to waste. What are you doing? What's it? Huh? With it? Go in. Oh, there it goes. Are you implying that it has a replaceable lamp? Yes, I think we got into the previous one we actually got into, and I was able to replace the lamp. I forget how. I think something popped off. But if it's an incandescent bulb, then we have to replace it with the same incandescent bulb, but it is a 5-volt lamp. But if it's not LED, because there's 3 color temperatures on this thing, and so you need to preserve that color temperature thing. Where did the screw go? We have one, sir. Oh, there it is. I guess it was a ring of LEDs. This is probably pretty old. I don't know how old this is. We'll see what we get inside. If it is just LEDs. If it is just LEDs, then it's more likely that this thing blew because the thing twisted too many times. Where did you get 85-volt lamps? I said a 5-volt lamp. Is it just a typo? I know 5-volt lamps sounds like LEDs, but there are incandescent 5-volt lamps. What's up with the Furby? No, what's up with your Furby? What are you doing with your Furby? We'll eventually get into the Furby and do something animatronic with it. See, it feels kind of tight when I move it that way. I don't think, I don't think I should really move it that way. But how do we get into this mirror in order to replace the LEDs? Because from the last time we took one of these apart, there was just a big incandescent bulb in the middle of this thing. So, yeah, it's going to be twisted wires. It might be twisted wires that killed it. That might be what's going on. Okay, so this thing has a ring around it. There's a seam right here. And I'm guessing that's just going to pop off. And then we'll be able to see what the state of things inside are. I think that's how we did it last time. There's just, yeah, I can get a fingernail into this seam right here. That would make a great Dobson telescope. I wonder if it could do a Fleurinen, or whatever it is, Fleurinen viewer, so that we could see like airflow. That'd be kind of cool. I bought one of those little hologram things that they sell in like curiosity stores. They used to sell in like the Discovery store. And I want to make a Fleurinen imager with it. But if it's as distorted as this one is, it's going to make like cursed Fleurinen imagery, which I guess is okay. Cursed Fleurinen is okay. We could still see, airflow and whatnot. No, with even with a slip. Well, I've seen these with slip rings, but I mean, it's too expensive for this kind of design. But you would get less than 5 rotations. Was there was, it wasn't anything screw on. Yeah, no, it wasn't anything screw. It's just literally like something you'd pop out. I don't know how to get into this though. Peel it from the other direction. There's like a plastic over the metal. It's like knife thin. No, I'm not going to break off the tip of my knife that way. How did we do this last time? I don't remember. Maybe I just decided against it. My poor dear old mother's makeup mirror is going to go unfixed if I don't get into this. So we know that the base is sending... I should unplug it probably for this. We know the base is sending 5 volts out. The question is whether or not we get it back at the top. I guess I probably could have done a diode test on the stuff. Twist it. Bop it. Yeah, it doesn't twist. It's probably got little things in there to limit. I think we did get into it. I think we did get into the last one. It does look rather sealed, though, doesn't it? It does kind of look like they might have done one of those sealing piezoelectric things where they shake the 2 pieces of plastic together and it welds itself in place, which would be very unfortunate for us. For sure. There's a lot of metal on this thing. They tried to make it decent. You know, and if it was just a broken wire inside of it, then it's possible we could tilt this thing into a position where it would light up again. If I take this part apart again, we'll be able to move. Well, these are like super duper hard to get out, I believe. I don't remember what we did. I think we gave up on the last one of these, right? Because I couldn't get into the seam because it was like super duper attached. Or was I able to get in there and it was like 3 screws? That was a different one entirely. I think that was a different one entirely. I don't remember if we did anything with this one or this type of one. And I don't want to damage it. Because if I use something like this, it's going to chew up all the metal. And I'll definitely be able to get a grip on that, but it'll chew up all the metal. You just make these products to break. It's a pretty prominent seam, and there's no other way to really get into this. And I can't tell if it's plastic welded or if this thing has clips that are holding it together. It could be either way. If it were clips, it would be a much easier job for us. But I do remember that we wrenched on this part and it didn't like it at all. All right, well, let's try getting this apart, and then we'll see what we get. We can peek in and see if there's any sort of entry point. I go into streams like this without any prior knowledge. It makes it a little bit more exciting for me. And it allows you guys to participate. But it can sometimes lead to us sitting here scratching our balls, not knowing what to do. Of course, they don't build these things to come apart. They want you to just toss this thing in the garbage and buy another one. But then, like I experienced with Willow's dog bed, Willow's had the same dog bed under my desk for a while now. It's been like 3 years since I've done anything with that dog bed. She loves it. It's very comfortable for her, but it is small. It's small. She doesn't quite fit into it. So she'll curl up in it and her head will stick out of the bed and she'll rest her head on like the structure of the desk. So just musing, I'm like, well, she likes that a lot, but I should probably provide her with a bed that she's going to fit in. So I went to go buy the same brand of bed, but larger. The company, called Precision with a dog's head on the O, and the bed, something like Snoozy, Snoozle, or something like that, does not exist. Company's completely gone. It's like the weird, spooky magic trick store. I turn around and it's gone. The lady who sold me this scarf, gone. So what do? Can't buy the same bed. Well, usually you can find something that's designed very similarly, but I kind of struck out. I couldn't find anything. So I got her a larger bed, but it's a different design. I'm not happy about that. So the same thing happens with companies like this. You're like, I loved that mirror. I used it for years and years. This is the best makeup mirror. I've recommended everybody to go get that makeup mirror. And then the company just does not exist. It just doesn't exist. It's not there anymore. There is no more. This is one big piece of metal. Are you kidding me? Oh no, multiple pieces of metal. Okay, there's fasteners in the top of this thing that I can't get to. What the deuce? I see 4 screws. But then I see no screws. What the? Huh? Is there like a cover on it? That has a center seam. Okay, so I can do flathead screwdriver. What's up, 3D Printer Shack? That's sourdough. Accent on the dough. Sourdough. What? Sourdough? What? Huh? I don't understand, you guys. I think this peels up. This is just a snap-in channel for the wire. But then what are the screws? Is there like... I don't get that. I see... what in the world? Oh, okay. There's that. Oh, it's just pins? Or did this come out? What the fuck? Sorry, this isn't very well annotated because I'm discovering how this thing goes together. Those are riveted, but I think they popped out. I think that's what happened. That was very merciful of this thing to do, is just have those pieces pop. They're just little, they're just little pieces of metal in there. Wait, the other side just fell out. What's happening here? It's just pins. Okay. Where are we looking? So it just has metal pins to hold the thing together. Because what I was looking at are these pin heads on one side that looked a lot like screws that were screwed in, and then I'd look at the other side and there was just metal. And it's like, how in the world? So it's just pins. Okay. Whew. That solves that. That solves that, and that's the final mystery. No, it's not. It's not even close. So we got to this stage with the other one too. The design's going from modern to steampunk. What are these gears doing here? Why are there gears? Well, I guess this keeps them from twisting together, as having one singular wire go through the whole thing. I remember these being an absolute nightmare to get off, though. Yeah, these do not want to move at all. Is there anything that I can use on the outside in order to get in? We're running into the part of this thing that was built all with clips. It's unfortunate because the solid state stuff looks like it's pretty well designed. It's just this stuff is where everything kind of breaks down. Like, that looks press fit, and it looks like those little notches are there to grip plastic and hold it in place and not let us in. Get a little light on that. Guantanamera. I don't know why that song's stuck in my head suddenly. That's looking kind of permanent, isn't it? This does not strike me as removable, although maybe, seems very one-timey. Because I was hoping to get a view inside of this thing from these holes. Who makes this thing? I don't even know who makes it. I don't think there's a brand anywhere on it. Oh, right here. Zadro. Reputable brand of makeup mirrors, I guess. The one that we looked at had a couple screws in the top piece, I think, and that one was infinitely more serviceable than this one. So, you know, if I give up, this thing is broken, right? There's no way anybody else is going to be able to fix this. It's probably only LEDs inside of this thing, but it might be that it twisted so many times and now wire is like broken. You usually get intermittent power before that. We know that it's sending 5 volts out though. So we know something is happening with this that is potentially worth investigating. And LEDs don't typically just fail. Yeah, I could only do worse. Well, I can only make it a little bit better in that it's now definitively broken, or that leaving it alone is the worst thing I could do to it. There we go. I just, the only thing I see about how this thing was made is that there's a seam right here. There's a seam right here. I do not know whether it is a clip or if it's a weld, a plastic weld. Yeah, well, no, I can break it more, and that will make it definitely broken. It is currently in a limbo state where it is broken but may be fixable. How in the world do we get at something like this? Now, if it were plastic welded, one of the ways that I get into plastic welds is by using a vise. And the reason that I would use a vise is to flex that plastic. And when you flex the plastic of something like this just right, you can sometimes get it to break right around the area that it is sort of plastic welded together. But I don't think this is going to fit into my vise. There we are. I don't think this thing is going to fit into my vise. So we have to come up with some other way to kind of get at that seam. Phone spudger. That's what I was using before. That's this thing. It's really annoying that I don't get like a plug. I could go over here and desolder the two connections, but I do have guitar picks as well. I don't want to slip and send one of these things into my finger. Any chance the glass comes out with a suction cup tool? I can get my finger into the seam right here. So the glass is going further than the lip. There's no way they could have put it into a machine that curls the metal back. That would be crazy. Obviously, it doesn't screw into place. That would be insane. Can I get an idea by looking through the... Yeah, not really. Not really. If I peel up from this side, I can at least get into the glass. I remember there being... It must have been a different one that had a couple screws. Ah, shit. Well, there goes that. Now it's broken. I didn't know this is glass. Or really, really brittle plastic. Esports, how do you think your idea worked exactly? Brute force is not the answer. Is this why do things seem so bright? I think it's just that shot had a lot of reflected. Yeah, it's the direct reflection of the lights that's doing it. Well, I guess there's no solving that. That keeps growing too. All I did was push this thing into the only seam I could get into and flex a little bit, and that was enough to, whoa, shatter things. Darn. Well, I can say the mirror's dead. Let's go get the hammer. Yeah, I might as well get the hammer, actually, at this point. Mirror permadeath. They made the ultimate unfixable lamp. I want to take a look at the seam of this thing, because that ring, this ring around the outside is the only way that I could possibly get in here. And it is my fear that what they did is when they assembled this thing, they put it into a jig with all the stuff, and then they had a forming press come down and curl the edge over, which would make it the most unserviceable thing, because the force you'd need to put into this to lift it out and around is, you know, you'd permanently disfigure it. Mirror, mirror on the wall. This is very unlucky of me to do, by the way. You guys will thank me later. I don't think it's adhesive. It didn't feel like it. I would be surprised if it is. We'll see. I don't want to do this to a mirror. This is going to be the ultimate. You guys are going to post this on my obituary in a week. Now, breaking something like glass, I could send stuff everywhere and it would be a complete mess. I think if I just tap it like this, it'll hopefully contain itself. If we could propagate some of these cracks over to the other side, it might lose its... It's going to set off the dog. That looks pretty broken. I think maybe that's it. Okay, little bits of glass just hit my foot. Okay, this goes there. All right, let's see if we can get some of these pieces out with a pair of pliers or something. Huh, it's like really held together, isn't it? Painter's tape. Hey, what's up, Chimera? Put something on top of it. Think of all the tiny pieces in the dog. Yeah. Well, that's why I stopped right there. I can use painter's tape to pick up some of this stuff. Code Rushed. Raid with one other person. Is Twitch a little bit broken today? What's up, Code Rushed? Sometimes it doesn't report that correctly, and there's more people than that. What you working on over at Code Rushed? Try to just hoover up some of these little annoying bits. This is lamp permadeath, which means that this lamp is dead. So technically, I don't need to be streaming right now. But I want to see what killed this thing. Working on AI code gen tool with VStudio. AI code generation, huh? Have you seen the post where it's like Google says that 40% of their code is now generated by AI, and then they juxtapose that with a graph of how many times Google has gone down in recent history? Wrenching on this thing with a hammer did nothing. This thing is still together, and I can't get any singular piece of this out. There. That's my entryway. Now, I need to find a cardboard box where I can put all this broken glass. I can't believe it was glass. All right, joke's on you. Amazon Basics DisplayPort cable looker. You've opened the wrong box. You thought you'd get DisplayPort cables, but instead you get glass. Was this lamp expensive? Yes. Let's see, how much was it? What was the brand again? Zardo. That sounds like Zardoz. And there's no picture of oh, okay, hold on. Let's not talk about Zardoz. Zardo LED lamp. Shopping. It probably came off of Amazon, you know? Let's look up Amazon. Amazon.com. Zardo lamp. I mean, the fact that my mother was able to get a separate power supply for it means it was probably pretty expensive. Oh, God. Now Amazon thinks I'm... Ugh. Please don't think I'm a girl. Let's see. Down we go. This is $150 for the wall-mounted one that we already fixed. How did we get into it? Maybe we didn't. Maybe we just declared it $179. So this thing, yes, this thing is broken. It is completely unserviceable. For $170, this thing could really use some slip rings on it. Zardo. Zardana cast. Oh my God. There's adhesive on the back of this thing. That's why it's all stuck together. It is LED, so it's definitely a flexed cable that broke it. I should probably use different pliers than this. Better, less involved pliers. Something like this. Maybe forceps will do. Holy hell, it's expensive. Yeah, well. Mom does her makeup. What can I say? They price up stuff like this. So how was I supposed to get in here? What was the seam? The bolt's on the inside. Seems like for 170 bucks, they probably did do what I thought they did. It's glued. There's glue on the bottom here. So the mirror is glued into place, which is all well and good, but how in the world did the mirror get in here in the first place? I don't have an answer, because there's a piece of plastic around the entire periphery. So I don't know if it's been, is that plastic? I gotta watch that I don't cut myself in this spiky hole of glass. We can at least say that this is completely unserviceable. We did our best to get in here and edit it, credited in with editing in it. Oh, and it is metal. I'm actually feeling the forceps are sticking to this. This is freaking me out. Look, I'm okay. I know what I'm doing. How do we get 3 different color temperatures out of this thing, though? You can see I'm keeping myself as far away as possible from the glass that I'm breaking. This, like, plastic on the back of the glass is what's keeping me from moving big chunks of this out of here. Oh my god, it's sending, I can see this little bouquet of glass erupting around this thing as I pry through. There's absolutely no way to get into this. Yeah, I think we deemed this unfixable because this top piece does not pry up. It doesn't pry away even though there's a seam on it. Take a look by bending it. I think that would have been the only way to do it, is if I was able to bend this metal away. Seems kind of crazy, but it is. I mean, this whole thing seems to be one continuous piece of metal. And the reason that there's a seam here is because they have thinner metal up top, because the whole thing gets pressed into place. This is the opposite of ASMR. I should get my AT4040 and put the mic over here for all of the squelching noises that the glass is making as I pry it around. I can't believe a $179 mirror does not have a slip ring of any type. Oh God, I need to put a piece of paper or something over top of this to keep all of this glass from going all over the place. And probably get a big pair of pliers. Let's see if I can find a big pair of pliers. I don't have paper, like a printer paper, that I can use nearby. And if I had taken out the garbage like I was supposed to today, my garbage would be empty enough that I probably could have just stuck my hands into it and destroyed the mirror in there. But no, I'm not responsible. These are too small. Yeah. Might as well use what I'm already using. My big pliers are outside with the car tools. Yeah, and I think that's what's going on here, but there's only 2 wires that go through this thing. So I guess it would be one direction, the other direction, and then one of them is the first direction, but less volts. I think that's probably what's going on here. Because, yeah, this is a ground wire. Oh, wait a minute. So maybe the 2 wires are both positives? And one sends one voltage level, the other sends the other voltage level, and it relies on a common ground to get power all the way back. But there's a gap here. Oh, but that's, yeah, there's a gap here. What the fuck? Wait, what? What are you doing then? I'll slice my hand apart. We have ground going to, oh, I see. Yeah, there's an internal metal part to the hinge that's keeping it in connection. And then all it's doing is twisting the wire when you move these. I have to recommend my mother gets a different brand of mirror though, because this is bad. The fact that they don't have any kind of a slip ring on this. God, this. Let's put an adhesive label on the back of the glass for the mirror. Jeez. I gotta peel it off to remove it. I took my dog for a walk and now the mirror's gone. It did not cooperate. There was no way that we could have gotten into it without destroying it. I can say that definitively now that we've destroyed it. And that's not just me coping. That's actually the only thing we could have done. There was no way we could have gotten into this without breaking the glass, because I believe in assembly, what they're doing is they are bending the outside, kind of like a crimp tool. They're bending the outside so that it puts pressure on the layer cake of the glass. Use heat to soften the adhesive. I don't want to add heat to this equation. I'm going to get a cut and a hot piece of glass in my friggin' face. Then I got a huge cut and a burn. I'm going to be finding little pieces of glass on my desk for a while. My decks. That plastic is the only thing keeping all this glass together. I guess the sticker is the mirror, because the mirrored portion here has the sticker. I guess that's the trick. It's a piece of glass with a frosted ring around the outside, and then the mirror itself is on the other side. It seems like a no, it's not a first surface mirror. I would have just destroyed it then. And there's just this plastic ring inside keeping the whole thing together. Come on, stupid thing. Jeez. I just want to get enough of an opening that we can see what's going on. I'm not sticking my fleshy hand anywhere near any of this stuff. I could probably have put painter's tape on the front, and that would have maybe held some of the shards in place, but we're not doing the responsible thing right now. We are destroying something that is already broken, just so that I can see inside of it a little bit more. What the heck? What is this doing? Wait a minute. Oh. It does have kind of a pseudo slip ring. Oh, no, it froze. Oh, man. All right, I gotta do this, and it's gonna mess everything up. So unplug that, plug it back in, let's position it, and then we go to the microscope scene where everything's frozen. We'll bring you guys in just so there's something moving. And then I need to go to this, and I need to go to properties, and I need to deactivate it, and then reactivate it. Now we're back. And then I don't know if this is going to work. Setup, do the micro procedure. May have worked. That might have worked. Does that look okay? Yeah, that looks okay. Do you have an ambulance on fast dial? You guys are... Jeez. I know I've cultivated a relatively safe stream where I don't pull like a Uo's Lab and drink toilet water in front of everybody, but some of you guys get crazy with the safety nerd stuff. While we are a flick of the wrist from a trip to the ambulance, it is not going to happen. We're fine. So what is this thing in front of us? I think this is their version of a slip ring, so that this thing can turn an indefinite number of times. Why then didn't this work? Why wasn't this thing working? Why did it stop working? Because we saw power going up to everybody. Is this some kind of a... Yeah, so this is some kind of like a barrel and sleeve operation. Why didn't you work then? So if I plug this thing in and turn it on, this shardy glass nonsense, plug it in, hit the power button, nothing happens. Why did this stick out this far? It's just a pin sticking through another pin that's supposed to complete a circuit. So if I push one of the buttons and I tap the tap switch, I don't know whether it's on or not. Yeah, so they have a very cheap version of a slip ring on this thing, which makes it even less serviceable. How the hell am I supposed to get the glass out of here, the original glass out? I think they did just bend this thing around completely, around the whole periphery. So I would have been responsible for unbending this and then bending it back, and it would have looked absolutely awful. By the way, I'm talking to you while I'm doing this, and I'm holding this knife so that the knife is in my hand. I need to pay a little bit more attention to what I'm doing. So they're using the body of the lamp in order to return ground from everything. And then they use this weird sort of rod that spins with the arm and goes all the way to this ring here that connects it. So this is infinitely spinnable, except that it stopped working, and I don't know why now. We saw power going to it. What the real kicker would be if something went wrong with the electronics and we couldn't see it. Because across the two terminals, what I understood of how this thing was working, oh, hold on, there we go. What I understood of how this thing was working was there are two wires that go up into the top. And so I thought it was just manipulating voltage levels on these two wires. You can do all kinds of stuff with LEDs because they only allow current to flow in one direction. They are diodes. So if you put a row of LEDs in one direction and another row of LEDs in the opposite direction, you can switch the way your power and ground is in order to illuminate one or the other. And then if you have like a current sensitive circuit, your current sensitive circuit can then lower the current on the LEDs, and that'll give you three modes of illumination. You have full power in the warm tones, you have full power in the cool tones, and then you have partial power in either of those. And you would just be able to go back and forth. I can test all kinds of voltages. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut off the mirror and move it away, and we'll take a look at the electronics. And then we'll sweep the desk too for any little bits of glass that are on it, because this is a huge mess. I can't believe I cocked this up so far that this is the result, is a broken glass mirror. I didn't even know that this thing was, I thought it was plastic. And then looking at the price tag for this thing is fucking shocking. I can't believe that much money was spent. But we need to verify how these electronics are working and whether or not the ring of LEDs was at fault or not. It's crazy, because we thought that this is cheaper. This is a cheaper piece of engineering, and that the wire that went in was able to twist around and around and around. And you can do things like having like curly cues on your wires and then tell people not to turn it all the way around. You can put a plastic stop on that to keep people from infinitely rotating an apple in their mind. But what they decided to do was to have a fixed pin that was fixed on the moment of the arm, and then a collar that the pin fits into that was sort of isolated on this thing and rotates around. That gives us a rotation, and that keeps wires from doing the job of rotating. You can see the end of it moving as I move this collar around, and that just sits in a sleeve. And everything else in this sort of waxy, there's like this waxy insulation that they use in cheap stuff. Everything else rotates. It's not over-engineered. It is as cheap as possible. This is, I mean, yeah, this is a lot of engineering. It's an implementable, sort of easy, cheap slip ring that they've engineered into this thing in order to not buy an expensive slip ring. So very clever on the maker of the makeup mirror, but then again, this is the second one of these things that I've seen broken. And I'm not totally certain how. Well, I know how this one is broken. It's because I hit it with a hammer. But the other one, that's the one we may not know. Yeah. What's going on in here? There's 3 pins on this. Plus, minus, and C. Wonder. Well, on plus and minus, I can... Oh, it looks like, yeah, 2 LEDs. So there's the warm LED and the cool LED. But this is only wired to the warm. I guess on the other side of the strip, that's where the C connects. So if I look at the voltage that's going into this thing right now, oh, I'm so disappointed that this is the end result. It would be very annoying if I do take apart the electronics and find out that something was wrong with that. So it's just case ground. I guess I could just measure versus case ground. Here, let's get over here. And then do a little bit of that. same mechanism. What's that? Back probe the red wire. Look, I'm working. Let me work. Let me work it. Go back, flip it, and reverse it. So many cameras and still no angle. No, you're looking at what I'm doing. Oh, because it's actually not connected. Wait a minute. The metal's not connected. The metal needs to be connected because it's using the body of the lamp that we separated now. Hold on. Hold on. Need to somehow connect these two together and stay away from the glass. And then get this thing over here in this view, but still have the ground connect to the two pieces of the lamp. There you go. So on the red wire, let's do red to red. Red to red to red to red. Red wire here, like that. And then the body of the lamp, which might have a lacquer on it. I'm not sure. Red wire on the body of the lamp. Nothing. Push the button. Now we did see 5 volts out of this thing before. Oh, and I'm gonna wedge this down here like this. Oh, that was glass that I was leaning against. So I'm trying to free up a hand so that I can actually hit the button over here. Push the button. Ah! Damn it! Okay, that didn't work. I need little alligator clips, little alligator thingies, so I can hook it all up. This is so disappointing to me because now we don't know why this lamp doesn't work. And the only way that I could have released it is by uncurling the stuff. I mean, we confirmed that it was doing stuff earlier. That it was actually changing the differential voltage of the 2 wires that go up it. We didn't check it versus ground, but we did check the 2 wires and see if something was going on there. Now, double check, it's plugged in, and this is plugged in, and I've got glass on the top of my hand. The top of my hand is sparkling. Oh no! I've drawn blood. From a little tiny piece of glass. Oh no. Alright, so let's stop effing around. I was brushing my hand and I brushed that. Alright, let me get a paper towel. I got little tiny pieces of glass everywhere. We gotta clean all this stuff up before I sustain further injury. Oh, it actually slashed me. Wow, that's crazy. Huh. The tiniest little shard of glass, and I just went to brush it off with my thumb, and it made a little slash wound. Yeah, I saw sparkles on the top of my arm, and so I went to brush them off. That's fine. Okay, well, we got to clean this up because this thing's dead. And then we'll check the base to see if it's actually affecting any sort of change in the, what do you call it? The thing. I'm just going to put pressure on this for a minute so I'm not bleeding on camera. That happened to me the other day when I broke a piece of pottery. Went down to pick up the piece of pottery, and sure enough, it slipped on my finger, and then it sliced. Ugh. Yeah, it's annoying. There's a little tiny puncture wound right there, too. Because I saw sparkles on my arm. Does this one have any sparkles? No sparkles on this one. We should be okay. So before I get more sparkles on me, I'm going to get rid of this thing. So let's just go ahead and clip it off here. Would love to recover some of the LED strip inside, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. Because that one's attached there. So they've got some scheme where they've got a black wire and a red wire and a ground wire. 3 wires and 3 different illumination schemes. I don't think I'm going to be able to... This is where all of them hook up. Okay, so the red wire goes to... Here, let's see here. So one goes to C, red wire to C, white wire to the middle one, which is W, and then plus goes to the black wire. And this one goes to ground, which is this tab right here. Huh. I think it might be the scheme that I'm talking about, except that there's 3 wires that are able to work on this thing. So one goes to like W from, is it from plus to W? Yeah, I think we used to have a snake light. Actually, my neighbor still uses her snake light. She puts it around her neck for dog walks at night. I don't think I can get under this, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to peel the whole LED strip off. I don't want to put any force into this thing. I do want to test the LED strip, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get the whole thing out. Warm is W and cold C, I guess. That sounds about right. Let's get a 5-volt power supply on this and see what happens. Turn this on. I can just poke into the... So positive, I guess, is the common on both of them, and then you ground the one that you want to power up, and then these do a combination of one or the other. Can't figure out how they put power through the flexible conduit. Well, they didn't have like a wire in there? There's tons of ways that you can do crazy stuff with the power. This thing is on 5 volts already. All right, let's turn this on. And then I can do cold. For fuck's sake, the LEDs still work. Oh no, that means that this whole thing probably still worked. But we measured 5 volts on one of the lines. Oh no. Cold, warm, both at the same time. Yeah, both at the same time. Warm and cold. That's not good. That's not good. That means that everything worked. Let me see if it's the collars that were broken. This kind of LED strip is so cheap that I think I'm just going to be throwing it out. But let's do through this thing here. I want to measure whether or not, I guess, that we can cut the wire because all bets are off. This thing is attached to a giant blood extraction machine. So from this wire to this wire, measure ohms. I'm so mad that I broke. We really should have tried to put power through the thing first. Maybe this is what's broken and there's still redemption to be had. Oh, don't do that to me. Come on. Try this wire here through the other one. If the problem was at the circuit board, that means we could have broken it without such percussive maintenance. Get that. Let's try this one over here. Maybe this one's broken. As I huff copium. Maybe just one more thing of copium, and we can fix the mirror. Oh, opens valve of copium a little bit more. Maybe it's okay. We never could have fixed it. Well, let me make sure that I'm making good connection here. This might be the problem. This one over here. I'm glad we broke this on the side that actually is has all the stuff. Aha! This is definitely the problem. Definitely is this wire. Although none of the LED stuff worked, so I don't know. I don't know if we checked all 3 modes. Yeah, so I'm not getting connection here. So that's definitely one of the problems with this thing. Because the black wire goes in through this side and then potentially goes through another one of these slip pieces. So that definitely wasn't making a connection, for sure. Duh. It's likely the other side probably works, or maybe the act of breaking it made this make good connection again. Sure, that's cope enough. Now I'm never going to be able to get that LED thing out of this without fully breaking the glass away, and I've already severed my thumb pretty much clean off by playing with glass, literally just brushing a little shard of glass. These glass shards are sharp. This is nothing to joke around with. So I'm going to put this thing pseudo away. Just put it over here. When I say pseudo, I mean PSEUDO, not pseudo like in Linux. And then we're going to brush all this crap up. And then we'll look at the electronics of the base and see if there's something potentially broken in there. I mean, this is one of those like gaslighting devices where they make you think that you're the crazy one. May as well fully undo it and learn how to properly take it apart. There is no proper way to take it apart. It's literally the process that I told you, where they bent metal. That's why it's thinner. That's why it looks like there's a seam, but there's no seam. They bent metal around in order to sandwich everything together. So there's no way that we could have gotten into the glass part of the mirror without destroying it, unless we had a very weird and specialized piece of equipment that doesn't really exist. Be like an uncurler, a metal decurler. No, that wasn't the ground wire. There was a different ground wire that was a ground that went to a ground lug on the peripheral. The black wire was brought over from the other slip ring. And that's why it had its own little like carrier and everything over there. The black wire was brought over from the other slip ring. So that thing that I tested did not make a connection. And so the way the mirror is designed is that it relies on all of the metal stuff to be connected. So the part that spins with the joint was one electrically isolated thing that the wire went to, and then the other one had the same thing on the other side. The one on this side switched from white wire to red wire, which is a little bit weird, but it's just how it worked. And then the other one has the black wire all the way through. Use my air blower on this and then send little shards of flesh rendering glass all over the place. Got to remember, there's no DisplayPort cable in here, only def. Well, it's mirror permadeath. Unfortunately, I have to tell my dear sweet little old mother that this light is no more. And I can't even definitively say that the LEDs were wrong. We did this wrong. We probably should have tried to hook up to the terminals down here and give them power in order to light up the light. I observed the difference in voltage between the two terminals, the two wires that went to the end of this thing. And I thought that maybe it was just powering down one of the banks less in its sort of scheme of having 3 modes, but that's not how it works. There was a cool and a warm, a W and C, cool and warm, what do you call it? Yeah, roll crimped like a shotgun shell, exactly. A warm and a cool wire, and then a common wire. And the common wire is the body of the lamp. This is isolated, the push button on the front, but it's still metal, but it's isolated. And so that was the way they did the power button, is by having a like capacitive or whatever sensor on that. But then the warm and the cool were controlled by allowing, actually, was it five? Wait, would it have been powered to positive voltage? A positive wire, a case ground, and a warm wire. But then you wouldn't energize it through case ground. But they had case ground was wired to the cool. Really? They would use, what? The red wire went to positive, and that came from the white wire. So that one would have been at 5 volts when the lamp is on. So if we test it, let me put the glass somewhere else, deal with it later. Hold on a second. I'm still like angry at this thing for gaslighting me into breaking the glass. I gotta be careful because I'm still seeing shards everywhere. That really sent glass up and everywhere. It just happens sometimes. Okay, so. From our supposed positive wire here. Positive wire here. Put that to plus. No, I'm not bleeding. Okay. Felt like I got cut. Let's go into the light. Find the light. Positive to the black wire. Power. Office. 3 volts. Negative 3 volts. Huh. Daylight. Negative 3 volts. To case. To the power button. 4 volts. To ground over here. Nothing. Evening. So here too, and if I do ohms, this and this are connected. No? What about you? 30 mega ohms. Turn that off. Go back to volts. Okay, no volts going through there. Back to ohms. Oh no, but it's positive power that goes out to this one, right? And it's still grounding with case ground. So then technically, well, no, technically that would mean that from here to here, I would get 6 volts. Would it be from here to here? Oh, okay, from here to here. Okay, so this one is the constant voltage wire. We have 1 wire to control 3 modes. What? And then ground as well. Positive to this wire having voltage would be 1 mode. So the power on this thing is, I believe, on. So from here to here, there's 5 volts. Office, 6 volts. Evening, no volts. Here to ground, case ground. Aha! 6 volts. Office, 0 volts. Daylight, 5 volts. All right, I think I get it. I think I get it, and it's kind of weird. And I think daylight just means that both of them are energized. So here I get... Wait, no, this way. Here I get... Oh, no, daylight is the... Okay, daylight is the yellows. Evening?
How's it getting 6 volts and now I'm getting nothing? Oh, did I turn it off? Turn it back on. Yeah, there we go. So from positive to ground during evening lighting, I get 6 volts. Positive to warm, I get nothing. So evening is just warm lighting. Office should be only cool lighting. So this one gets nothing. This one gets 6 volts. So that's that part of the circuit. And then daylight is everyone. So this one gets 6 volts. And then this one gets 6 volts. Bada bing, we solved it. The lamp was never broken. It was me, not you. So you have common power, and then you have one going to ground, and the other one goes to this wire. And so those 2 wires are on slip rings. Boy, and it gives a whole 5 volts to the LED strip. If only I could have extracted the LED strip, but I think this positive wire was not working. Something in the slip ring didn't work. And it's possible that I could have gotten it to work by just spinning the mirror a bunch. I didn't know that there was a slip ring. I thought if I kept spinning it, something would have broken. But I bet if I kept spinning it, something would have finally rubbed together in order to get it working again. Because clearly the thing that drives the LED strips still works. Do I have any 5 volt LED strip? I don't think I do. Oh, but you know what? I do have something I can use. The breadboard. Bring that back. Hey, breadboard, bring that back. All right, let's see. Bring back the breadboard. And then I need a couple alligator clips to make this work. Alligator clips. I need 3. Where are my alligator clips? There's 1. That's a green one. There's 2. It's also a green one. There's 3. Okay, good. 2 greens and a white. This won't be confusing at all. And then give me 3 jumpers. I need 3 yumpers to get into the prototyping board. These aren't the right yumpers. I need to organize my yumpers. They're getting kind of bad. It's hard to tell which one's which. That's not useful. Oh, come on. I gotta sift through all this in order to find the right ones. Okay, 1. Oh yeah, and this needs to be on a bar. This needs to go to a bar. Where's the toilet seats? They face that way. So we do it like that. I'm gonna do 1 and 2. And then a third one to... Oh no, they all need to go to a positive bar. Is this thing going to try to turn on the Raspberry Pi? No, it's not. Okay. So just 2 of these LEDs. We'll go you and you. And then those go to a positive bar. And so that'll be the positive bar right there. And so the positive bar is connected to the black wire. And the black wire is connected to the red wire. The red wire is connected to the... you, and then you, and then you. And this one goes to here. And we already can see one of the LEDs turn on. And this one goes to case ground. We can see the other one come on. So that's daylight. So we have 2 LED. Oh, I'm so annoyed. So I think that one slip ring was the problem, and it was possible that we could have fixed this whole thing by just simply twisting it around itself. If I go to office, we get only the warm lights, which in this case are red. Evening, we get only the cool lights. Well, I guess that's the opposite way that it should be. All right, office is this, and then this one is this. Here we go. Yeah, so daylight is both. Office is cool. Evening is warm. And then this is power. So mad. I'm so mad right now.
I guess we can save the controller and the power supply from this. And I can use it in something else. As like a touch thing. Then again, that little circuit is just the touch stuff. We'll take a look at the electronics in a minute. God, I don't know. The common supply was not making it all the way to the LED strip. It was definitely broken, but knowing what I know now about how it's made, we might have just been able to twist it around itself a bunch of times and it might have come back to life. Fuck. I'll tell my mother the whole thing. Tell her that her expensive lamp has been rendered down to a circuit board and it is useless. And I have another block of metal in the shop that's got a weird shape to it. I don't really need touch lamps anywhere. I need Tasmatized lamps. I need Tasmota lamps. So I don't know where I would use a circuit like this. This is piss. Welcome to Bother's Disappointment Emporium. We're having a sale. Well, we learned a lot about this, and we also learned how something like this breaks, and that they actually did think of the contingency where the thing spins around all the way, because they had a pseudo slip ring on both sides, and they simply treated it as a special joint where when you spin the mirror, these two rods were sticking into the mirror that didn't spin. They would stay stationary with the base, and as the base twisted around, there was a long collar that would make electrical connection. It's the Steampunk Stream Deck. It looks like a lamp. So that's my best theory, given the information that we have. I connected to the black wire, and I connected to the black wire coming out of the stationary base. So the black wire that goes off into what I assume is a second slip ring of the same design. I didn't want to peel away the glass to get to it because glass was getting all over the desk. And you can see I cut myself a couple times, actually, being nonchalant about glass handling. I have a little tiny slash on my thumb, and I have a puncture wound on my arm. That's not a big deal. I'm a diabetic. I'm used to, blood coming out of my body. But since the glass is getting everywhere, I wanted to not peel away at the mirror more because I just felt a sharp thing going to the side of my hand. This little shard of glass. Beautiful. So yeah, didn't want to continue to create blood traps all over my shop. So stopped it with the glass. We had a piece of the wire. All of the wires were connected on one side. They had a slip ring on both sides of the mirror. So I did an ohms test between the white wire and the red wire. The red wire is what came out of the slip ring. The white wire is what went into it over here. So we tested ohms from over here to the red wire on the thing, and we got low ohms. I got like 4 ohms on that, which means that made perfect connection, which means the warm lights, the cool lights, maybe the cool lights could function perfectly fine. The other light used the body of the lamp as a wire for the common positive that was the black wire, because the black wire goes all the way back to this connector right here. So between the black wire and the black wire in the lights itself, I did an ohms test from the wire that came from from the wire that went into the side, the one that I cut off of this one right here, wire that went into the side to the wire that went over to the LED strips from the other side, and I got OL. Nothing. There was nothing there. Just OL, meaning overload, which means there was no connection there. Now, could we solve that? It's possible. I don't really want to know. I don't want to take that arm and spin it all the way around and see whether or not that'll work. But it turns out all our suppositions about the electronics being broken, totally wrong. The electronics function perfectly all right. It's kind of crazy that they can have this be one of the supplies for one of the LED strips. It's sort of a weird scheme. Let's take a look at the circuit inside of this thing, and then we can dispose of all the rest, and we can get this gaslighting piece of shit makeup mirror out of my shop. I never want to see it again. It'll still end the stream just a little bit early, but I am annoyed. So, so it's a good time to end before I start getting mean. Of course that was going to be the failure point, right? Because the whole rest of this thing is solid state electronics.
it's all solid state stuff. So unless we're back in the late 2000s in the middle of a capacitor plague, well, not the middle, at the start of a capacitor plague, nothing really else is going to go wrong with this. Even if it, you know, the power supply may have to deal with surges and stuff. So our first, it's now a range toy. I don't have a range where I can take random shit to shoot at. I wish I did. Because shooting at a mirror, I don't know. If you're a superstitious type, which I'm not, that might be bad. And then you gotta you're leaving glass all over, you know, a public range. I don't want to do that. Oh, I guess I shoot at it and it's sitting on top of a cardboard box. Or now that I've got a hole in the back of it, I could sneak a little bit of tannerite in the middle. And it could really make a very interesting thing to look at. It'd be a big explosion of shards of glass. Listen, if there's little chunks in the thing that you're exploding, you do not want to look at it directly. That's the mistake a lot of these people make when they, you know, make it big enough to start actually playing with real explosives. You know, like for their YouTube videos and stuff is like, and I you know, FPS Russia is the most famous example of this, where they were like, let us shoot that car, ho ho ho, and they shot at this fucking car that was just completely overloaded with tannerite. Because when it gets to explosives and explosive guys, they will always go above the number that you give them. If you say, let's dispose of 10 pounds of explosives, they will dispose of 40. So, you know, that in mind, these guys, they get out to the range and they don't know all this stuff, so they may set up things that will be safe within their own parameters, but explosive dudes, and especially dudes who get carried away, they will go above those numbers and create a very unsafe situation. So if there's any particulates in the thing that you're blowing up, you don't want to watch that directly. Set up your cameras, get good camera shots, make sure you get good angles and high speeds and all that stuff, and just get the fuck out of there. You know, hide behind a berm. FPS Russia, they were shooting at a car. Let us make the thing go boom for YouTube. Ha ha ha. I don't even have a Russian accent. And so they did that and it blew up and it looked great. And he got to look like, you know, Mr. Tough Guy. But then the car door almost fucking took his head off. It was at least 5 to 6 feet barreling towards the camera, missing him. Absolutely the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I have worked with actual explosives before. I sat there with a device I made that was a copy of a device some asshole made who didn't really know how to make things super safe. You know, it was safe enough. And knowing exactly how something like that was built, I hooked one side up to a battery and I sat there with the negative terminal in my hand, looking at the negative terminal of the battery, and then looking over at the 60 pounds of commercial explosives that I was about to hook it up to. And I went, it's a good thing I put on my safety glasses and hooked it up and everything was fine. But still, I know what I'm talking about. These guys playing with tannerite for their YouTube stuff should really gotta be careful. Okay, so that's why I would never pack a mirror with tannerite and shoot it at the range, because I don't want to deal with a particularly energetic piece of glass flying at my face. The distances I would watch something like that are the distances where the ballistic properties of the bullet would no longer be able to set off the tannerite. Tannerite, you need just a ton of energy to go into it, and then it will explosively react. But it's energy, so if you hit it with a pistol bullet, it will not go off. You need to have rifle velocities in order to set it off. We actually did we played a lot with tannerite, a friend and I in Virginia at a range, and they kind of had to ask us, like, you guys have been kind of like rumbling the windows, and we thought maybe you'd be a little bit, like maybe just tone it down a little bit. So we're like, sorry. We took a bunch of clay pigeons and we taped them together with tannerite inside of it to make sort of a small explosive target. It was fun. That was Twisted Sister I did that with. That's the dude who shows up in my chat, and I think he once gifted like a ton of money. I was like, holy shit, dude, what are you doing? You know, had a paycheck. Craziness. Yeah, all right, we're in recovery mode. We're in recover all the stuff that made up this lamp mode. I'm so disappointed though, because I feel like my method of fixing it would have worked. Actually, I could still try my method, but there's too much broken glass around that. I don't want to mess with that too much. Maybe we'll try it in just a bit here. Let me just recover all of the stuff from this lamp. Boy, that was complicated. It looks like a urinal. Smart dimmer. Wait a minute. Do you think... I can't test this now. Where's the camera? It's up here. I think if I had... Oh, geez, the camera's not calibrated. I think if I had held it down, it would have dimmed the light level. We'll never know. Well, we will know, because we're just going to look at this thing. Do I want this power plug? Probably. Looks panel mount, but it's also glued in. If I get rid of the glue, it'll come with me. And I don't think it's hot glue, so I don't know if alcohol will release it. Yep, it is kind of like hot glue. It just kind of gave up. And then it fits from the other side, so we've got to cut away the terminals here. Where are you? Knife? What happened to knife? There it is. I should probably recalibrate the camera so that it doesn't look so weird right now. Yeah, what a simple layout for this lamp. Some fascinating decisions that they made to operate this thing. Wonder if I can just scooch this upwards. Yeah, there we go. Try to do this on camera. There we go. We'll hook up the multimeter with the alligator clips, and I'll see if I can get that positive terminal to actually work again. Did they loop this? They might have looped the wire. I hate it when they do that. Hate it, hate it, hate it. They looped the wire. They put the wire through the little hole and then soldered it. It's like the worst way, because if you have to come back and work on it like I am, you can't get the wire off. But maybe they didn't. Maybe I just wasn't applying enough heat. Come on. I probably should have put like paper towel over top of the mirror before I started smashing it. That would have been the good idea, but sometimes I have to do what looks good on camera. Here, let me get some solder on the end of the iron and apply that. That's where these things are, while pulling back on them a little bit. Oh, come on. What's going on with this? These are the positive ones. One goes all the way out to the LEDs, and the other one goes to the circuit to power the circuit. And then all the circuit's responsible for doing is switching ground to everybody. This can get cut. This can get cut. Oh, that'll just pull. Okay, and then let's get the 3 switches out of here. It looks like ground is connected through the switches, though. Or no, that's case ground. Okay, so that's actually... So we didn't know at the time, but I thought that switches were switching to ground. It is in one case, but this is how we get positive... Or no, how we get ground through one of the LED strips. So it's one or the other, and then a diode keeps it from going back on itself. And then these switches control which strips get ground, with the LED thing controlling which, that always gets positive. Oh, it goes positive then through the circuit, and then it goes to whichever, Oh man, this is confusing. Okay. Positive always goes up there to the black wire. The white wires do the 2 strips, and the switches control which of the 2 strips get access from. This is providing positive. This is connecting the positive to ground. That's what it is. So the diode just prevents one from feeding back into the other. Diodes. So this one is both. This one is one of them. This one's the other one. How do they make them pop back out? Hold on a minute. They made them pop back out. Something's going on under this bar. Something sinister. Because how do it know? Keeps hot liquids hot. It keeps cold liquids cold. How does it know which one? Actually, there is an answer to that question. It's a comedy bit, but the answer to that is that what you're supposed to do with a thermos is put boiling or cold water into the thermos ahead of time to prime it for the temperature that it's supposed to keep the liquid. These are attached. They're actually attached to each other. Okay, so let's get the fronts off of these things. Yeah. Oh, this isn't a good view. Well, it's a good view because chat's not moving right now. Come on. Out you go. There you go. So these are, it's like a switch gang. It's all connected to each other and crimped. Oh God, the camera work is terrible right now. It's like a 90s music video. So when you press this, it disengages the other ones with these little levers. Fascinating. So much switch for such weird operation, and yet they insist on touch controls for everything else. They could have probably just programmed something to have the right touch controls. They decided to do it their way. I hate that this thing is totally useless now. I hate it, hate it, hate it. Let's prime the cameras, and then I can look at the electronics with better visuals. Oh, swiping the desk right now is a bad idea. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to restart Stream Deck. Because when the camera disconnects and then connects again, Stream Deck doesn't know what camera it is, and it's unable to prime my cameras. My Logitech cameras have a particular priming process that makes them look good and gives me all of my beautiful visuals, and it's a driver problem that Logitech has never felt the need to even approach. But the way that we get around that, whoa, lag, hello laggy, what's going on? The way they get around that is by, the way I get around it is by doing this procedure, which is essentially just an algorithm that's running on the Stream Deck. It's a bunch of different steps that I do. Is my computer slow, or is the Stream Deck slow? Or is the OBS being slow for some reason? Oh my God, and my face is out of focus? All right, face procedure. So this just puts in settings using things like the bar rater tools that retake control over the webcam and sort of get it to remember what it's supposed to do and not look like this, which is washed out and weird. So if I do the micro procedure, it will change the color temperature and then change it back to where I've preset it. The cable on this webcam I need to replace with a USB-C so that it locks in a little better. Let's see what was in the electronics for this thing now that I've destroyed a $200 mirror on my stream. I feel bad about that. And then we'll investigate whether or not just spinning it, because that's a good trick, will do anything. We'll fix it. I want to cut through this, but I don't want to cut through any of the wires. So the bottom of this thing is flat. So we can probably just give it a little score line. It doesn't even go through the whole thing. And just tear at the score line. And just tear at the... why don't we use scissors? It's not working the way I wanted it to. I guess I just cut it with the scissors down the back. I've seen a lot of electronics wrapped in shrink wrap. It's the easiest way to keep the environment out of your electronics, and then you can put a dollop of hot glue at either end, and when you heat up this thing, it'll squish out the hot glue. So if you have like an RC driver that's supposed to be going in a boat, that's a really good way to keep it out of the elements without covering everything in some kind of Silastic or you know, stuff that's hard to remove. When you deal with the glue at either end, rubbing alcohol is really useful. Where's my pointing tool? Where did that go? What did you do with it, chat? Why did you hide my pointing tool? You guys are trying to keep me from doing my job, and I'm tired. I'm just tired of it. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. That's where I put it. Hey, Nano. All right, so how did this thing work before I broke it, destroyed it? This is the touch control, labeled touch, labeled Hushut. Wretch. What? Touch control going through a 1 kilo ohm resistor and into a micro. I didn't expect a microcontroller. I thought we'd actually see just a like an epoxy top. Oh, this is totally unlabeled. Like it never had a label. Like it never. Wow. Okay. I wonder if it's some kind of an AT Tiny. CJ78L05. 5-volt regulator. 78L05. Very useful one, by the way. Normal ass microcontroller. Capacitor circuit. So that's just filter. That might be an analog. That's power in from the thing. So we have, oh, that's negative. Okay, so that's minus power, and positive power is through the regulator here. So we got plus minus. Then we have our fade input, which goes to what is assumed to be a big MOSFET. And the way that the big MOSFET connects to either bank of LEDs is through a 10 kilo ohm resistor and a 1 kilo ohm resistor. So 10 kilo ohm resistor to ground. We can see that it goes to a ground plane here that is not connected. Wait, what? What? Wait a minute. Is that just a generic plane for the FET? Oh. Minus 6 volts does not go to like anything. It comes all the way around here and oh, there it goes. So it goes up there. Wait, no, it stops there. It stops there. It doesn't go there. I swear, she goes to a different school. It comes around here. Oh, it goes under the, okay, so our ground is coming from this pin and that's where our resistor is. So ground goes under this to here, under the IC, around and out. Not a very noise-free way to do it. If this were like an audio circuit, we might have some troubles with it doing that. They got the ground to where it needed to go, but boy, oh boy, does it take a circuitous route. So we have a 10 kilo ohm resistor to ground just to make sure that this thing unswitches when we remove power from here. Modern, or at least some, modern microcontrollers would assert a 0 or a 1 on this line, and so we might not even need to have this resetting 10 kilo ohm resistor. This is just supposed to be a weak pull down that is overcome by this 1K resistor. So 5 volts or 3 volts comes out, well, this thing is 5 volts. So 5 volts coming out over here will overpower a 10 kilo ohm resistor, is a pretty big amount of resistance, and hit this FET with voltage, which allows it to connect to ground. And so our faded LEDs come out of here and into here. Now, because of the scheme of these 3 switches, we can choose what color temperature comes out by selecting one bank or the other or both. And we do that just by completing the circuit on the ground here, and then positive is provided via PWM from this thing. Actually, wait, no, it's ground. Wait a sec, hold on. This is the output. This is the touch. This is positive power. Positive does not go into one end of the FET. So I guess we've got two things going on. We've got positive 6 volts is going to the LED bank. It then comes down through whichever one we select here, and then it goes into this where it's switched to ground through a PWM. Ta-da! Zardo 05C Rev 2. We're up to Rev 2. I wonder when Rev 3 is going to end up on my desk. Okay, so we know how this thing works. We know what it does. We know that I can't fix it because I broke the glass, which sucks. Could we have fixed it? That's the next stage of grief that we're going through here. Could I have fixed it? Now, what do I want to do with this? I should probably put it somewhere because I do occasionally build like lamps and stuff. So, oh, this didn't update. Let's refresh chat. Cache. Oh no, that was hiding chat. Bring him back. Caching. Well, bam. Okay. Chat will now be up on screen. Sorry about that. Computer likes to park pages, and I got to figure out a solution to that, which is probably buy more RAM, but I probably can't find RAM. Okay, so I'm going to bring that mess of glass back over. Careful now. Let's hook the multimeter up to it and get some ohms going out of it. Get this stuff out of the way. Get it all out of the way because I got to pick it up and spin it. We'll see if we can get ohms. I want low ohms to this thing, and then I'll consider it to be fixed, to have been fixed. Now we know that the white wire makes good continuity. We've tested that one. This is the one that we want to test. It's the black wire. This wire going down through here. Now, if you guys didn't see it, I know NeanoCat wasn't around. This thing has a slip ring, and I would assume that it has the same slip ring on the other side. And the slip ring is literally just... Ooh, that's hard to see. It is a fixed piece that is electrically isolated. So this is a fixed rod that is soldered onto the arm. When the arm spins, the rod spins. So you can see it spinning there, which is a good trick. And that spins inside of this sheath until it gets to this piece over here. This is just a little metal collar that has the red wire attached to it. I would assume this is what happens on the other side. You can see the rod sticks through all the way up to here where it stops. So I'm not going to move that piece of glass, but right around here, the rod stops. So I'm assuming that the same thing happens on the other side with the black wire. In this case, the black wire was positive 6 volts from the, directly from the power plug. So if we go over here and we clamp to the black wire over there, I can get ohms through this. And we can see whether or not I can actually fix this mirror. Now let's get the high voltage probes off. Then we have the low voltage probe, the big probes that I can alligator clip to very nice and easily. Probably need to get more test clips. So there, OL, overload, right? Now just to stress the point. Oh, you know what? Did I give myself enough wire here? Oh, I did, yeah, okay. Just to stress the point, here is the red wire to white wire connection. Okay, what did I do? Oh, whoops, I get this one. Oh, I unclipped them over here. What did I do? I just, I connected it all wrong. 5 ohms. That's kind of a lot of ohms, but that is a connection. And if I move this thing around, you see our connection stays steady. All right, so I move it over to these wires. And we get OL, overload, too many ohms, no connection. Theoretically, if I move this a lot, I might gain the ohms again. I might say some ohms. Boy, I'm getting curiouser about this thing. This is piquing my curiosity. Why doesn't it connect? Take it through 360 degrees. Nothing. I mean, that's definitely the problem. But it was supposed to have fancy slip rings on it that would prevent this. Boy, blood's just going to come shooting out when I touch this thing, huh? Come on, man. Did something break? Maybe it broke. All right, so I'm starting to believe that I could not have fixed this in the end. It's the bowl of danger, yeah. Welcome to the Danger Dome. It's just dangerous because it's made out of broken glass. Be careful. Just wearing my socks. When in the heck was I playing with some X-Acto knife blades? What? I don't understand. These YouTubers can leave some weird comments. My arm is getting very tired. Welcome to the Repetitive Motion Factory. Okay, so something is definitely broken, and I'm fascinated as to why, but I don't want to peel through any more of this glass because I don't want to break the wonderful containment that my skin has on all of my blood right now. Your choice of Twitch title was eerily accurate, as if I don't know what happens during these streams. Do I trust my water? I really did have glass flying everywhere. I don't think it got into my water. I think because my water was sitting over here, which is probably far enough away that I don't think my hammering on this thing caused it to glass to go in there. No, I'm fine. Yeah. So I guess by overflexing this, there's no chance that I would fix it. What the? Chat. There's a seam. No. Don't tell me. You know what? It's just glued. It's just glued together. There's no way. Put a little pressure here. Oh, you're kidding me. Well, part of it is that, part of it is that I am just separating these two out. I think it is glued. Yeah, it looks like it's like a long piece that fits into the other side. So it isn't curled around the mirror. It is pressed together and glued. This thing is so badly made. You know, it's made for a price. I don't know if I'd call it badly made. I mean, there's some good stuff about what they built here. I mean, it's a nice heavy mirror. I just wish they gave me screw access into the top, and then I could have discovered that this thing was dead. Yeah. Let's try to look at the other slip ring, because I need to know what's wrong with it. We're doing sort of a post-mortem on this thing. A prost-mortem. Proust? Need those pliers again. Need the forceps. This looks like the easiest job for a Jimmy opening knife. They're too thin, though. Need to get this piece out. The problem is there's plastic behind this, and it's kind of holding everything together. This is going to be the dullest X-Acto blade I've got, but... Ugh. I hate it. Stop shattering like that. Oh my god. I'm gonna vacuum. Yeah, the adhesive is what carried the reflection of the mirror surface. You really shouldn't use the blade like that because it dulls it quite a lot. Yep, confirmed. Second slip ring. Okay. Confirmed for slip ring. Test number 2. From that wire to itself right here. Oh well. Let's bring back in the high voltage probe so I don't have to put my hand in there. Oh, it might have slipped off. Okay, let's grab our test leads. So continuity of this wire to here. Oh, we get ohms. Wait a minute. So the ring might be in good shape. Unless my touching it has made it. Because I hit the thing and it would go either direction. Although we still get overload here. Yeah, still overload there. But what about this to the rod? So something between... Oh, hold on a second. This one looks different. Where am I moving this? So you guys get to see as well. So this one, everybody spins, except it might be trying to spin that wire. But then it should just be spinning this thing. That's not spinning. That's not spinning with it. Bum, bum, bum. Wait a minute. Does that mean that if I pull on it, it'll come out? Keep my fleshy body far away from this thing. The answer might surprise you. It's no. I don't... Yeah, look at that. So it's moving the wire over here. So, okay. So here's what happens on this side and why this thing keeps breaking. You can see over there, over here on this side, it is soldered in. So it's like permanently attached. However, on this side, the pin scheme is great and all, and it's got this sheath around it to keep it from contacting anything else, but it goes into a rubber grommet and then through the joint, and that's where it's attached to the wire. So when I'm spinning this, the rod is not being spun. The wire is being coiled around that rod because there's so much resistance. Why would they make it like this? Wait a minute, this doesn't make any goddamn... This is ridiculous. So electrically isolated through the white plastic, but as this thing spins, it is not spinning the rod as it should. It is instead moving that wire. And so that causes over time the wire to no longer have continuity in it because of too much flexing. Whereas over here, it is properly designed. There is a hard, no, it's the same thing. It's not properly designed. It just happened to not break. Why would that not be fixed? I guess because the metal of the arm goes through that and you need to have ground continuity on this thing. So that's what that little pin to the side is. But the little arm should definitely be captured with that silicon or that, yeah, the silicon material. That should capture the arm instead of flexing the wire. So they put in a slip ring, but because of the design of the slip ring, it fails. That sucks. So now we know. While it does allow you to go 180 degrees, it is not properly capturing the device that keeps it from flexing the wire when you spin it. So it ends up in premature failure. And I then have to sweep glass off of my desk. All right, that's it. That was permadeath right there. We figured out why it died, and it wasn't my fault, and it wasn't something we could fix, because you cannot get into those joints. Now, were I super duper careful and I had an infinitely thin thing that I could slide all around this, we might have been able to discover that and run another wire. I don't know where the wire terminates on the end of this thing. We kind of pulled it around and it moves it a little bit, but I don't think we could have really known what was wrong with it. Well, darn. So it wasn't just me. This gaslighting piece of shit design was in fact the problem. And now we know how to design stuff a little bit better by not allowing our slip rings to be practically just not exist. You know, they don't do anything in this design. They don't do anything. They might, maybe if you get the wire really taut after it spins a bunch, it'll then do something. But like, what a bad design. Did I miss a mess up? No, nothing really messed up. It's just, this thing was indeed poorly designed, and the poor design revolves around the slip rings on the two sides of the mirror. The slip ring brings the permanent positive voltage in and the cool light ground. Then the case brings the warm light ground back as well. So it's basically a 3-wire system. And it relies on this little touch dimmer circuit and this grouping of switches in order to power the different banks of LEDs. It allows you to spin the mirror 180 degrees by using a pin and ring slip ring. So there's a hollow ring and there's a pin through it. And when you move the top, it'll basically do this. Just all day with this. Not getting any work done. No, but it'll basically spin inside of like a collar. It's a very cheap way to make an electrical slip ring on a device like this. So instead of this being locked down, there is wire going up to a rod, and then a silicon thing is like loosely fitted around it, to the point where as I am moving this, the rod is not spinning. And they really needed to capture the rod on the motion properly. They didn't do it. And what it allowed for was this wire to get taut and eventually flex itself to death. It was controlled percussive. It wasn't that controlled. Let's not give me too much credit here. Credit where it's due and all that, but I hit it with a hammer. Some use lube for this. There was a little bit of electrical grease on it. They did at least do their due diligence to keep oxidation and stuff from ruining your day. Where's my other high voltage probe? Why are it not here? Where is it? I think it fell on the ground? Probably. It's a red one. I don't want to throw... Oh, there it is. There's still little shards of glass on the desk right now, so I need to be careful about brushing my hand on it. And let's get the brush back. Vacuum would probably be better, but do what you can do. I can't believe it sliced my thumb open so easily. That was so weird. I was like, haha, glass won't do anything to me. Oh, look, my arm is shiny. Let me just brush the shinies off of my arm. And it's like, why is there red? The tiniest scratch. Look at all that debris. You guys can't see it. Yeah, we're going to be finding shards into the future here. All right, so anyway, that was lamp disassembly and dissection, and it turns out, in spite of all of our failings, there was nothing we could do. The lamp just simply was never going to work again. Unless I was super duper duper good at getting between this edge over here and the outside of this, because that's a big amount of surface area, and it was glued. So I would have had to slip something all the way around the circumference of this, and then the two layers would have come apart. but this is not serviceable. This is like a poster child for non-serviceable equipment. The only thing that we really gained out of this whole thing is that little circuit that can control a dimmable touch lamp. But any of the lamps that I build around here, for me, lamps that I build, we don't use touch controls. We use Tasmota and Node Red. So there you go. Go play Silksong. The game was rigged from the start. We were never going to win. But that was a good amount of time for a permadeath. I thought, if one little wire was bad, we might have been able to like swap something out, or, oh, maybe the switch isn't contacting as much as it should, and let's just bend a piece of metal, and now we got another 8 months of life out of this thing. Nope, none of that. None of that was the case. This thing was permanently dead. There was no way that I had a chance of fixing it at all. At least your desk is clean. There are parts of my desk that are not clean, and they will never be, but I can still feel little bits. I can still feel bits. Yeah, I can still feel bits. Ugh. It's going to be months until I can trust my desk again, because those glass shards went up into the air, and then they just found their way into every nook and cranny that I've got. Learning has happened. Yeah, we did some learning. I don't know what microcontroller they were using, but that was akin to like an AT-Tiny85 or one of these more modern microcontrollers, like the little 8-pin guys that are able to do a big variety of tasks and have features in them like, for instance, touch pins, because that's something that like the Arduinos, the more featureful Arduinos have been getting in droves. It's like, oh yeah, all the pins you can use as capacitive touch pins. And I think that's what that micro was doing. It literally just was capacitive touch and flip a MOSFET in order to provide ground to a bank of LEDs. And then in between those two, you have your selector switch, which selects which bank of LEDs you're lighting up. That's all that circuit was. Kind of a weird schism between a touch control and physical switches, because those physical switches are what's going to fail on something like this. Two places that things will fail on a device that is LEDs, because LEDs are solid state. They're going to last tens of thousands of hours, right? So the locations for fail would be if the LEDs get warm, maybe they could fail. Typically, no. A lot of these overhead lamps, that's how they're failing. I've seen traces that burn up after a long time. But on something like the makeup lamp, the places that it's going to fail are the moving parts. And that's it. It's literally just anywhere that there's motion. So if you locked down those 3 buttons and electrically isolated them and brought them to the microcontroller, why not do that? Why not do that? Because then you have 3 touch buttons to select what color temperature you want, and you have a touch button to turn it on and off. No more moving parts. The only moving part in the mirror would be the top of the mirror, which rotates. And so maybe you want to do a little bit more due diligence to get that slip ring to work properly. If they had locked down the pin on that slip ring better, it would have not broken the mirror so quickly. It really kind of irks me that that's the sort of thing in the design that went wrong. No name 8-pin jobber, touch function built in. Lots of those from what I've seen. I haven't looked at what the modern like little 8-pin SO8 microcontrollers do, but I would assume there's probably whole families of microcontrollers that you could use. But yeah, it's just a very simple thing. I mean, boy, you could get almost all the moving parts out of that and do a little bit more engineering on the slip ring, and you would have a permanent makeup lamp until you break the glass like I did. So anyway, yeah, so that brings us to an hour before I typically stop. That's pretty good for a lamp permadeath. Thank you everybody for joining me. I'm going to be back, same bat time, same bat channel. I might skip the intros for YouTube, and that way we've just got the succinct stream. So because like personally, if I'm clicking into a YouTube video, I want it to get to the point right away. So I may drop the intro from the YouTube things, unless we have some kind of a groundbreaking discussion during the intro. Ow. Little pieces of glass. Little pieces of glass. Hold on. I'm gonna wash my hands after this, probably. I have to get the magnifier over here and pull glass out of my hand. Yeah, maybe don't rub my hands together until a little bit from now, huh? Anyway, thank you for joining me. Oh, right. I'm going to be on Friday. Wait, today's Thursday? Oh, boy, this week has been a blur, huh? Yeah, so that's wrong. Sorry. I thought it was the wrong day. Hold on a sec. I'll fix it. I'll fix it before I end. September 8th. We'll be back on Thursday. I'm going to do either a tuning stream or we'll do a hashtag AutoCAD ad, and we'll plan out the computer build a little bit. We'll do the end card again, because me, when I'm spreading misinformation on the internet. There we go. Yeah, my hand's bleeding again. Okay, so I'm going to end it. I'll see you guys on Thursday. Wait, no, on Friday. Sorry, see you tomorrow. 3 days. Wait a minute. Oh, no. Hold on, wait. Further up in the... It's the 5th. The 5th. That's the second piece of misinformation. God, I always have to do this twice, don't I? I always have to correct it twice. Weeks don't actually exist. We all kind of agreed that they do. There you go. 4 days. Wait a minute. No. 4, 5. I want the 5th. Oh, there's a wire under the 5th key that keeps it from pressing down. The top of this keyboard, the keys are just like exposed. So if there's a cable there, it'll prevent the key from being hit. Okay, okay, everything else, forget everything else. All right, there you go. There it is. 20 hours, 48 minutes, and 21 seconds. Yes, I will be streaming tomorrow on a Friday stream. Sorry, I got distracted because I was doing the makeup mirror thing, and I thought it was a Teardown Friday, and then that fact kind of like wedged into my brain. And since it wasn't challenged at all, it just ended up being reality in my brain. And then we got all the way to the end of stream, and I said, yep, I'll be back on Tuesday. No. We've got tomorrow and the day after. Well, I don't know if I'm not doing the day after, but we've got tomorrow. And we'll do some kind of a Friday thing. I want to keep it a little lighter. Maybe we'll tune synthesizers, or we'll do the CAD work that I want to do for my computer project. We're putting the computer up on the wall. So, geez, glass shards. Can you believe it? Is there anybody rateable? Let's see. Anybody? Kraken is doing Gary's mod. I wonder if Buck got his setup working. Oh, there's no expanding that menu? Hold on. Go down to the rateable channels. John Beta is doing Drummond Boss. Carhole's on. If you guys check out Carhole, is doing some kind of a car game. And everybody else is doing Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight. Okay, well, anyway, you guys go play Hollow Knight or something, or go watch somebody play it. I don't care. Both at the same time. Okay, I'll catch you guys tomorrow, and we'll work on something cool. Go touch grass. I gotta figure out where my mouse is. 3 screens. I lose the mouse. It's gone. The mouse is there. It is. There's the mouse. I found it.